the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 3 of the 2020 Karts to Computers Racing Series, Season 2. Sorry if the volume was a little bit messed up there at the beginning of the intro. Hopefully not too bad, but, well, we are getting ready for the third race of the season, one that I'm actually really excited for compared to usual. I mean, I'm obviously always excited for every race. There's always so much potential for exciting racing action in our series, but tonight specifically, I think is going to be a pretty exciting one. We come here to Charlotte Motor Speedway, as you can see here. We've actually run this track before in our series, actually twice. If you'll remember back to the first time we ran it being Roval last season, which was already a very exciting race in its own. I remember that one being one of my favorites of Season 1, but we then ran the Oval later in the year for our All-Star race that determined the final track and car combination of the season for last year, which will also be the same format for this season. That's what the All-Star race stakes will be, but this year, our All-Star race will actually be at the Indy 500. We'll basically be doing the Indianapolis Oval with the Indy cars for that All-Star race, one that I'll be participating in. We're going to do a live stream just like we did last season, but, well, for now, hopefully the cars going by aren't too loud there, but for now we come back here in the IndyCar series for a race at Charlotte Oval, coming here for 175 laps, 262 miles of racing action. We come in here tonight after our race last Sunday at Watkins Glen. This is our second week of the series. A week ago we had our first race of the season at Talladega, but then we went to Watkins Glen, which I thought was, there were quite a few cautions at the beginning, but once we got through that, we got to some good racing action. It was definitely a difficult track, for sure. I mean, we'd seen some difficult road courses last season, but it was one of those ones where it seemed like it wasn't the car that was seeming to give people difficulties like it was at a few tracks like Daytona Road Course. It was actually just a tricky configuration itself. So, well, as we do with every race broadcast, we will first send you to the recap from last race at Watkins Glen International. And at Watkins Glen International, the pole sitter for the first time this season, I believe, is 8th overall, Logan Paxa. I mean, we've talked a lot about in this entire series about he's just the absolute leader at road courses. He's the head of the class for sure. You see, coming into the first corner here, he got a pretty good jump on Michael Krobach, and overall, he made it pretty clean through the first corner, which maybe I wasn't expecting. It's a pretty chaotic racetrack here, so Logan kind of set the tone early, but this very difficult uphill right-hander we saw all day, this time it was Andrew Bedrosian coming around, and you just kind of lose the back end if you get on the gas too early coming up the hill. It's what happened to him here, and well, he very narrowly missed some cars trying to get back on track, but another one of those incidents I talked about, several cautions, that's Jordan West hitting the inside wall after bouncing off the outside. I think that was Josh Gallagher that made huge contact with him bouncing off of him there. Several cars had to swerve to avoid an already tricky corner. You remember this corner from just now with Andrew Bedrosian, but Marco Felice had a very similar incident. He actually led some of the race in this, I believe, the stint after this one, but you see, I think that was Josh Gallagher again, just didn't seem to have good luck with that corner at all day. It's hard to tell between the two LPM green cars, but later in the race, after about the halfway point, I think this is right when Justin Lewick passes his teammate Max Preston for second. Logan Pax is still in the lead at that point, but coming up the hill, I think that's actually Crosby there this time. So Devin Crosby and I believe Jordan West coming in here into the entrance to the boot at the Watkins Glen International Circuit. See here, Jordan West just kind of bouncing off when Crosby was trying to avoid him, hit the outside curb. Made side-by-side contact, a huge crash that saw West flipping over and over there. That was one of the bigger collisions I've seen at Watkins Glen. Then in the background, that's Bedrosian battling with Marshall Crocker Sr. Or sorry, that's Justin Lewick he's battling with there, one of the two MJ Motorsports teammates. Here you see we've talked a lot about Justin Lewick's defense. Sorry, that's actually Max Preston, but Max Preston, one of the newer guys to the series, he was leading at that point. And he was able to hold off Krobach in the backstretch, but here you see Lewick getting a little bit too hot coming into the corner, makes a mistake there on the, I believe, the second to last corner of the boot. Kind of lost the back end here, but we see another straightaway pass here. This is Preston finally being unable to defend that position from Krobach. I believe he makes the pass around the outside here, coming out of the long backstretch there at Watkins Glen International, and Logan Paxa wouldn't be too far behind. You saw him there in the background, and coming up to that very tricky up-hand right corner in the boot we've talked about through all this recap, well, Logan was able to make it stick, get great traction on the outside, and just shoot right past Max Preston for second position. Then a moment later, another outside pass, that one debatably even nicer. Logan making some great overtakes in the end of this race, but he would make the pass on Michael Krobach, and he would just not look back for a while. But Paxa would have one more adversary to beat before he were to win the race. Andrew Bedrosian there, thanks to the pit cycles, would have a great outlap, and he'd come out ahead of Logan Paxa. But on that very same lap, just a moment later, Logan was able to make the pass into that exact same corner, headed all the way around him, headed to the inside, and he would take the lead and would not look back. Now this is Michael Krobach passing Andrew Bedrosian. Andrew had worked very much in tandem with Michael there for the first race of our season, but he'd finally make the pass on him there. But coming to the finish line, Logan Paxa winning his first race of our season, I believe his 8th or ninth overall. He is just an absolute force at road courses when it comes to our series, and see him doing his victory donuts as he's done many times throughout our series. Get a look there at the final tally. It was Logan Paxa winning the race, Michael Krobach and Andrew Bedrosian, as I mentioned, rounding out that top three. Andrew now belonging to the Lad Pedal Motorsports team after all of his hard work working together with some of the Lad Pedal Motorsports guys in the first two races. After that, Max Preston and Justin Luke, the two MJ Motorsports teammates, and that team name will remain MJ Motorsports thanks to the fact that Max was able to win that race, at least ahead of Justin Luke proportionally, as he did finish fourth ahead of fifth. So, as I mentioned before, I'm thinking the layout for this season is going to be that, well, whatever driver finishes ahead of the other in the race prior, then we will make the team name represent their initial first. So, sorry, I always forget to mention it, but once again, I'm Marshall Crocker Jr. I'll be your host for tonight. I know I forget to mention and throw the little graphic up there, but I run occasionally in the series, for those of you wondering, but this is a track that I'm very familiar with myself. Sherwood Oval is one that, gosh, I can't truly remember how many times I've come here. It's kind of the default first iRacing track you ever go through. You come here in the Street Stock series, which isn't a very fast car. It's kind of a sort of like an early NASCAR equivalent, I'd say. But it's just a nice stock car warm up for getting into iRacing oval racing, and well, you come here to do it at Charlotte, and you come here at I think it's USA International, a track that I don't like nearly as much. So Charlotte, a pretty iconic track, and whether it be NASCAR, not so much IndyCar, but IndyCars can run here quite functionally well. So we'll go over the track a little bit in a moment, but I just want to give you guys some housekeeping about the series results as a whole at the moment before we check our qualifying results. So let me just check what we have to go through. Oh, first of all, our point standings here. So let me just pull up our point standings right there. So this is our individual driver standings. Unfortunately, I don't have the team standings graphic up because we don't have a very nice presentable one for all of our teams this season, but I can kind of give you a little bit of a hint as to who is doing how well in our series when it comes to the team's points for the constructors title. But Michael Krobach, your current championship winner, I believe he didn't. I don't think he had at any point led the championship in last season. I think it was just Josh Gallagher being overtaken in the second race by Logan Paxa, and Logan just wouldn't look back. But Michael Krobach is your current championship leader. And I just want to point out the where it says incidents on the right side of this graph. Like he has 3 in our first 2 races, as opposed to more than 20 for every other driver in our field, which I think is just personally insane. I mean, to see our incidents per race, for every 17 incidents a driver gets, they are assigned a time penalty. So he hasn't come anywhere close to a time penalty in all 2 of our races this season. So I mean, he came away with a first and a second, which is definitely good enough to keep him in first. But Logan Paxa with the win last week, he also got the bonus points for I think the fastest lap, most laps led. He was our pole sitter. So yeah, Logan, he started second or first race of the season, and then unfortunately finished I think sixth because of a crash towards the end of the race. But well, in our second race, he did not have nearly as many difficulties and kind of, I wouldn't say cruise to a victory. He definitely had a lot of difficulties to overcome, but he did overcome them quite well, and he came away with a second position. Then Andrew Bedrosian, the final guy I want to talk about quickly, he has had 2 very consistent races, finishing on the final step of the podium twice, finishing in third both races the season so far. So, well, he has had an incredibly consistent season as well, and he kind of reminds me of Sam McEachern, those of you who will remember from last year. Sam, who actually will be joining us, I think, in a few races once he's able to get the time to join us and do so. So he was kind of the same way, just stayed consistent, finished on the podium every time he needed to, and sometimes that's what it takes to win championships. I have certain racing stories I can allude to that is definitely a way to win championships, but I mean it would just be me talking about racing forever. So the final thing I want to show you guys is the race winners for this season. It's kind of a new slide I want to add for the rest of the year and update, but I did update based on the championship teams. So Michael Krobach for Wide Puddle Motorsports Blue, hence the blue. Logan Paxa for gray, like the Logan Motorsports teammates colors. So again, the first thing I ever saw on this chat tonight was Go Logan Motorsports. So glad to hear that we got some fans out there. I know that they were two very popular fan favorites last season, that being Logan Paxson and Logan Ferguson, his teammates. So we'll see if going forward this year that will remain the case. But let's head out to the actual track for an update on our current qualifying standings. Let me just get those bad boys up there. There we go. So we actually have an expanded field than usual tonight. I know last race I think we had 13 or 14 drivers. Tonight's the best turnout we've had in quite a while. We actually have 15 guys tonight. So I can't remember the last time like I said, we had 15. So it's good to see. I'm glad that we're getting a good turnout for these later races tonight. And hopefully, as more and more part-time guys start to join us, that number will expand further and further. But one thing to mention tonight, I mean, we went to a road course race whoa, that wasn't words. We went to a road course race last week, and as I mentioned in that race, well, some of the guys that did very well in the first race wouldn't necessarily have experience and talent translate over to a road course very well. But that kind of works the other way as well. So if the first race you joined us with was the last race on Sunday at Watkins Glen, well, you may have maybe an improper understanding of just how good some of these guys are at ovals where they may not be at road courses. So one guy I want to talk about in currently on our timing tower right now, he's currently in fourth, is Josh Gallagher, who did great in our first race of the season, almost won the darn thing, coming across the line in second. But he won Indy last year, which is I think one of our two Indy ovals we've ever done. Actually, it's our only Dallara IR18 oval we've ever done in this current modern IndyCar. So I think Josh is undefeated when it comes to IndyCars at ovals this season. So the fact that he went from, like a pretty mediocre race at Watkins Glen. Like I know he's not a very big road course guy, and he had to put in a lot of work there, but he comes to these ovals and he just seems to have a speed that, well, a few can top. And if there were a few guys that I think could, I think it would be definitely Michael Krobach is one of them, but also Jordan West I think has done pretty well at some of our ovals this season. He was in both of our practice races that we've done this week, I believe. Those practice races being won by, I'm trying to remember. I think Michael won one of them. I think Michael Krobach won our first one, and then Rich Foligno actually won our second one that we did last night, and in quite impressive fashion. Him and I kind of get to battle it out for the finish on that one, but he was able to get me in the last corner, so it was a good race overall. And yeah, Rich was running quick here. I think he was kind of mastering the idea of the long-term fuel consumption and trying to conserve as much as you could to decrease your number of pit stops. Because tonight, when we're running 175 laps, it'll be a pretty long race. So the more you can conserve, the better for the sake of your long-term success. So, well, Rich would definitely be a guy I'd look out for. But just going through our current qualifying tower, I'm trying to tell. Sorry, the way the screen is set up, there's a little white bar on the bottom. I'm not sure if that's me or if that's something that the broadcast's doing, but hopefully it's something that goes away in a moment. But well, your current leader for qualifying provisionally, which there are four drivers left that have not qualified yet. Those including Caleb Campbell, Manuel Guerra, John Garrett, and Andrew Bedrosian, who actually did just qualify. That was his first lap, so hopefully he has enough time to get his second one in there, because the second lap is always the quickest here at Charlotte when you're doing qualifying. But well, we'll wait for Andrew to see if his lap will update in a few seconds. But for the time being, Michael Krobach with a 24.335. Very nice qualifying lap there in first position. Logan Paxton in second. They've qualified in the top two, both of our first two races this season. So when it comes to sheer individual qualifying pace, it's hard to beat those two. Speaking of beating drivers, wow, Andrew Bedrosian hops up all the way to the third position and actually timed it quite well, because in third position, Andrew Bedrosian, now a member of Lead Putter Motorsports Orange, a new team that's been added this year. His teammate will be Samuel McEachern, who is currently not here. Sorry, I believe it's Sam McEachern. I believe I am all but positive that is the case, but Sam has yet to return, at least as of right now, so he will not be joining him tonight. But Andrew Bedrosian officially now Lad Pedal Motorsports driver, and I will cut away from this because now that qualifying is official, I can now show you the actual official qualifying results. So again, remember, I am not properly on this graphic, or at least don't include me in it. So it may say I'm 15th there, but John Garrett would actually be in the final spot in the grid, not me. So, well, Michael Grobach, your pole sitter for tonight. Second time this season, second time in a row. He was the pole sitter for our first race of the year at Talladega, but he will come away with the second pole of the season for Mr. Grobach. After that, Logan Paxa, the first of the two Logan Motorsports drivers, in second position, running only 34 thousandths slower. Andrew Bedrosian actually running an identical time, but as a result of the fact that he ran his lap second and ran it later than Logan, he would not get the tiebreaker there. That would go to Mr. Paxa. So Andrew Bedrosian would start third on the grid tonight. Jordan West will start in the fourth position. I was just talking about him a moment ago. He did pretty well at our practice races this week, so hopefully he's got the experience he needs to have a good race tonight. Josh Gallagher in the 5th position, followed by Marco Felice in 6th. Devin Crosby, the other LPM Green teammate of Josh Gallagher, in 7th. Marshall Crocker Sr. in 8th position, my father. Good qualifying result, but I will mention I think we are in talks to have him become a teammate with Mr. Marco Felice there that I mentioned a moment ago. Team name and colors are unofficial as of yet, but I will update the colors you see on the left-hand side there once it is official. Unfortunately, I would put the team names there on the graphic, but unfortunately, I have yet to figure out how to change that privateer for all the drivers. But their colors are meant to match their team tonight, so hopefully those hopefully those stand out, and you guys are better able to tell who's who based on the colors tonight. But after that, Logan Ferguson, the second of the two Logan Motorsports teammates, Max Preston will round it out in the top 10. I think he's finished top 5 in both of our 2 races this season so far, so good start to the year for Mr. Preston. After that, Justin Lewick, Rich Foligno, Caleb Campbell, Manuel Guerra, and John Guerra will round out the field. Caleb and neither of the two Guerra brothers were able to register a lap time tonight, so that will about round out your order. So those two, the Guerras will start from the back of the grid tonight, but heading up to the front of the grid, the gridding process has just begun, so we will head up and get a look there at your pole sitter tonight, Michael Krobach. Again, it looks like the that little bottom line there is not going to disappear, so that'll be a little bit annoying. Not sure if you guys can see it on the broadcast, but the gray bar that has appeared to pop up for some reason. Maybe I'll try to fix that under a commercial break or something, but well, for the time being, Michael will take our field to green. Let me just throw up the there we go. Got that all set up there. So we're ready to go green for the 3rd race of the season here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let me just get all the lovely car sounds there in the background. Hopefully they aren't too loud tonight, because I know these Indy cars, it's such a small oval, the sound can echo and they can be really loud for our broadcast listeners. So I'll try to keep that relatively quiet tonight. The other thing I'll do in a moment is put up the driver numbers in a little bit. I know they're hard to see on the cars, but it's always helpful to have. So Michael Krobach there, you see in the blue car, will lead the field to green with the Spitfire entry of Logan Paxa on the outside there. You see the lovely shark teeth on the car meant to be modeled after a fighter jet, so definitely a cool livery for him. We can introduce you to some of the other drivers in the back through the field as the night progresses, but we're getting ready to head to green here. It's a pretty quick warm-up lap because not a very big track here, so hopefully everybody's up to speed. They do appear to be. I'll bring up the track map in a moment as well, so for the time being, we will get ready to watch Michael Krobach get on the gas and send this field to the 3rd green flag start of our season. Hopefully we can stay relatively crash averse in the very first lap of our race, but Michael is now in control of the field. He's going to wait until late, gets on the gas pedal, on the lad pedal for Lad Pedal Motorsports. Green flag. Michael Krobach takes the field to green for the first time tonight, and I would imagine probably not the last. Back in the field a little bit, somebody's getting shuffled through. That was Marco Felice there in the 4th position. This will be a tough one to try to keep up with tonight, but you see Marco Felice there in that Coca-Cola entry in the red car there in 4th. Just got, I believe, trying to make a pass here on Andrew Bedrosian on the outside. Right behind him, he's going to head up to the outside of Bedrosian. No crashes as of yet. Back in the field there, that's Jordan West there in the black car. They're going to go side by side ahead. That's Felice and Bedrosian at the moment. Side by side as well as Paxa and Krobach for the time being, but Paxa was able to kind of slide back in the line a little bit, so Krobach will be able to hold the position, but Bedrosian now trying to make the pass on, I think it might be Krobach, but he may just try to sit behind him, seeing as they do have kind of a racing relationship so far this season. They seem to team up very well together, so a little bit back in the field, the 2 LPM Green teammates of Josh Gallagher and Devin Crosby there respectively. We're actually going to go to a little bit wider of a camera just to keep up with all the action early in the race. Then behind them is Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, in that Tim Hortons entry there in the 24 car. Max Preston behind them, but Logan Paxa has jumped out to the early lead in tonight's race, making the pass on Krobach a moment ago, so see him heading out of corner 4. I believe this will start already the 4th race of our or the 4th lap of our race, I should say. So again, very quick laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Somebody in the background is making a pass as well. That's West going by Bedrosian. So West, Bedrosian moved up into 2nd and 3rd respectively. Felice up to 4th. Krobach has moved down to 5th already from the pole just a moment ago. Now Felice is going to head to the inside of West there. He's going to pull in ahead, so West is going to have to check up to let him by. Michael Krobach still sitting in 5th position now. The 2 LPM Green cars are well, one was right behind him there for a moment. That was Devin Crosby. It looks like Gallagher has fallen back. Gallagher just made huge, or sorry, was that Gallagher? Yeah, Gallagher just made huge contact with somebody. He's stuck in the wall. One of the 2 MJ Motorsports cars made contact with him. I think that was Max Preston, actually. Yeah, you can see the damage to Preston's car there. He has just stopped in place. Not honestly sure what happened there. We'll have to go to a replay here, but well, that was a bizarre turn of events. He's just stuck there. He's not even resetting or anything. That was One of the more bizarre incidents I've seen. We're going to go to replay there just to see exactly what happened. Yeah, let's check out exactly what happened here between Max Preston and Josh Gallagher. So you see on the inside there that Arrow McLaren entry of Max Preston, that black and orange car there. Watch what happens as they enter into turn one, but that's Gallagher who was outside. Oh, looks like Preston just got too much of the grass, made contact with Gallagher when he washed up, because it's very hard to keep on that bottom line without risking that happening, and washed up into the number 6 car of Josh Gallagher there, the LPM green car. So you see the pace car flying by there on the inside. So cut to live, both Preston and Gallagher in the pits. Just a reminder tonight, ladies and gentlemen, everybody does have 2 quicker pairs as usual, so neither of those 2 gentlemen's races are done for the night, at least not for the time being. So Logan Paxa will now become your race leader once again. He took the lead very early in that stint. I believe lap 2 he was able to make the pass on Krobach and move up to first, so he will now defend with Andrew Bedrosian and Marco Felice, the 2 drivers behind him. After that, Jordan West, Michael Krobach, Devin Crosby, Marshall Crocker Sr., Rich Foligno, Justin Luke, Logan Ferguson, the 2 Guerras, that being Manuel and John respectively. And rounding it out is Josh Gallagher and Max Preston. Important to note, Caleb Campbell. I keep mixing his name up because I do know it, Chase Campbell. But Caleb Campbell doesn't appear to have started tonight's race. Not quite exactly sure what the reason for that was. Hopefully it wasn't a technical thing that I was able to fix, but looks like he will not join the field for tonight's race, at least not for the time being. I believe he can still join post-green flag if he's able, but I'm not sure if it would have registered him, so not quite sure what happened there, but hopefully Caleb's able to join us for the rest of our season. Again, I don't think there was anything there that would have affected it, so well, we watched the pace car head around a couple of times. I found that the pace car actually doesn't run too bad here. I found that we go back to green pretty quickly when we do get a caution, so the first caution of our night. Hopefully it doesn't allow us to have too many caution laps. I know that was what made our first race of the season at Talladega so long, is just caution lap after caution lap after caution lap. So, well, let's see what happens on our first restart of the night. Let's see if the pace car lights head off as it goes by this time. I'll just quickly pull down the timing tower just so we don't have that disrupting everybody. The lights are going to stay on, so should be 2 to go to green before we head back to tonight's action. Trying to think of what else to talk about. Oh, I can talk about the track conditions. So, again, as I mentioned, a pretty experienced running here at Charlotte. It's a common track in iRacing. It's really a common track in the world oval racing circles, at least in the States. I know it's one for NASCAR that, I mean, it's famous enough to run their All-Star race, so clearly it must be a good track for that reason. But, well, it's really not that difficult of a track when it comes to the bankings. I mean, we started off last season when we did the IndyCar race at Phoenix. There was definitely far more throttle control and corner entry that had to be virtually perfect in order for you to make it as well as you needed to conserve tires. Tonight, I mean, tires are still a big thing later in the run, but it's not really that difficult of a track. I'd say you can pretty much keep it virtually planted to the floor when it comes to the gas pedal without too much difficulty. You see a few guys back in the line trying to warm up their tires to get going for this first restart, but yeah, you can pretty much go flat out the entire way around the track for a couple of laps, but well, once your tires start to go away, if you weren't conserving very well and you weren't taking wide entries into a tight apex in the corner, you might have a problem with your tires that could force you to make contact with the outside wall, and that's something that in our practice races we were definitely having difficulties with. I know I was, for sure. Was just underestimating just how much the car was going to wash out to the outside on corner exit. And if you get into that wall, specifically the one that they're going by there with the Cup Series sticker in the back there, that can be a brutal wall to make contact with coming out of 4 if you just didn't get your entry right and you didn't think to whoa up as much as you needed to. So definitely a lot to think about when it comes to corner entry and exit here. It's a tricky track for sure. It looks like we're going to do one more pace lap after this one, so hopefully these pacing sections don't go too long in tonight's race. They're always the most annoying thing. So I think that's Max Preston coming out of the pits there. He was just getting some damage fixed from his incident a moment ago with Josh Gallagher, so he will head away in the background. But again, for the time being, Logan Paxa will be your race leader. Andrew Bedrosian running behind him. Maybe we'll just go through the field momentarily and give you a quick glimpse into each and every car on track at the moment. Maybe this is a little bit better of a view. Again, I'm trying to experiment with camera angles here because it's the first time in a while that I've tried to do a race at Charlotte, and I forget what all the good camera angles are, so hopefully we can adapt to that pretty quickly. But let's throw up the driver names once again. We'll introduce you to all the drivers for tonight's race and their cars they'll be running tonight. This is Logan Paxley, your current race leader, winner of round 2 of our series, as well as the pole sitter. Last season's champion, hence why he's driving the #1 car there. So sitting in the Logan Motorsports Spitfire entry there. I think the 2 Logan cars, they have 2 Spitfires, but they might actually be different colors. So I believe he's the gray and red of the 2 entries, and then Logan Ferguson, I believe, is the gray and blue one. We'll check in a moment. After that, Andrew Bedrosian running in the #22 car. He told me his sponsor. I'm trying to read him there. I'll come back to that. I'll check on them for him, and I always like to at least list the sponsors off on their cars. So sitting there in the new Ladpuddle Motorsports Orange entry. Again, his teammate Samuel McEachern there at Ladpuddle Motorsports Orange has yet to join the series. So once he does, then we will maybe we'll get 2 similar paint schemes for those 2 drivers. But after that, Marco Felice in the Coca-Cola in the red #16 car there. As of yet, does not have a top 5 finish or anything in the series. He only ran our 2nd race of the year, and in that he did have an incident that unfortunately left him without any quick repairs and made him end the race early. Jordan West after that sitting in the #9 car. It looks like he will not currently have a teammate this series, or this season. It looks like Frankie Esposito will not be rejoining the series. So, well, it's maybe he'll come back out for another race this season, but he certainly won't be running full time. So the 2 Blackout Motorsports racing drivers, the other one that isn't Jordan West, will need to be refigured and see if we can get a new guy in there in that other Blackout racing car. After that, Michael Krobach there, sitting in the 5th position, your pole sitter for tonight's race. I'm going to have to hurry through the rest of them, but Ladpuddle Motorsports blue driver. Devin Crosby in the green and black LPM green entry. Tim Horton's car, driven by Marshall Crocker Sr. Rich Foligno in that blue cool racing car. It's that cool green, so I'm not quite sure what the paint scheme is based off of. But after that, Justin Lewick in the Arrow McLaren car, Logan Ferguson in the other of the 2 Spitfire entries. John and Manuel Guerra in the identical Diabolique Motorsports cars there. LPM green car, the Mountain Dew there is Josh Gallagher. And finally, Caleb Campbell, who is not in the field tonight. So I'm not quite sure what entry he will be running going forward this season. But let's get the timing tower put back up there because we are ready to go green for the 2nd time tonight. First restart of the race. Michael Krobach, sorry, that's Logan Paxley lead the field to green. He's already on the lad pedal there. Green flag for the 2nd time tonight. Nice jump there by Logan. I mean, he went almost immediately after the pace car headed in there. So he should get a pretty good jump, but Andrew Bedrosian's going to have a crazy run down this backstretch here. You see Andrew Bedrosian in that black, white, and orange car following in right behind him. So you see him starting to close in a little bit. Should have a pretty good run going into 3 here, but Marco Felice chasing Bedrosian as well. Look at the huge run he's getting there. Does Bedrosian to Logan Paxley. He might think about going under, but again, you can't pass below that line, as we said before the race, and we dictated. That's the thing I'm going to be looking out for, but Bedrosian's going to head under Paxa here. Paxa might not even be able to slide in because now Marco Felice is behind him. We're going to head to our chopper camera once again, but Marco Felice is going to head to the bottom there with Bedrosian. So Logan Paxa kind of getting hung out dry. He's got to decide where he's going to go right here. He's going to sit right above Bedrosian. Can't quite slide in yet, but Marco, I think, backed out, so he won't quite have the run he would have wanted. If I were Logan, I'd almost debate just slotting in there in the 2nd position because Felice gets right underneath there, or gets right behind Bedrosian, and Paxa's not able to slide in. Well, he might leave himself out in 3rd, but Paxton tries the over-under. He's going to go below the blue line. Thinks better of it. Max Preston is in the pits once again. I'm wondering if he has damage or didn't get a quick repair or something, but Max Preston will head back into the pits. So Logan is able to get the position back now, but Bedrosian's going to pull the over-under. He's going to head under him, and now he will take the lead momentarily into corner 1. What a battle we're getting there. Looking back in the field a little bit, doesn't seem to be too many close battles. Justin Lewick and Rich Foligno, I think, might be the other closest one on track, but well, Michael Krobach in that blue LPM blue car trying to get in the mix. I think he passed Jordan West just a moment ago. Maybe we'll try to find a better camera angle that better shows all these drivers there. But so Bedrosian, Paxa. Now side by side goes Michael Krobach and Marco Felice. Michael went way to the high side. I think he lost the run there on Felice. So Felice will have the inside line coming into corner 1 and 2. Bedrosian making the pass once again on Paxa. They're going to go side by side there onto the backstretch. Bedrosian decides to slide in this time. I'm giving him props because he's a very patient driver from what I've seen when he makes overtakes. So he's going to play the long game there and just make the safe move on Logan Paxa in front of him. Michael Krobach makes the pass and will now try to track down his good buddy this season, Andrew Bedrosian. Marco Felice after that with Mr. Devin Crosby in the LPM green entry right behind him. On the apron there, that's Max Preston there in the Arrow McLaren car trying to get back onto the track after a pit stop. After that, it's Marshall Crocker Sr. who also passes Jordan West. So Jordan West is moving backwards in this current stint. Not quite sure what happened to him. Not sure if he has damage. Doesn't look like anything too visible, so I wouldn't imagine that would be the case. But Justin Lewick and the other of the 2 Arrow McLaren entries. His teammate just pitted a moment ago, but Justin Lewick still holds down the 8th spot, or at least he will for a moment, because Rich Foligno is going to chuck it under the inside, going to make that pass for 8th, at least at the moment if he's able to get the move to work. But Looks like he had to back out there not to make contact with him on the outside, did Mr. Rich Felino. So looking up a little bit further in the field, Michael Krobach trying to get the move set up there on Andrew Bedrosian in that orange and black car. Michael thinking better of it, rethinks it there. I don't think we have a caution. I thought it looked like the drivers were slowing down there for a moment, but back in the field there, nobody yet has headed down a lap, as far as I can tell. Very short laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We do have a caution somewhere on the track. Let me just pull up the track map, which always makes it 100 times easier for me to find incidents on track. Not quite sure who that was yet. The 11th position car, that's Marshall Crocker Sr. Well, he's already gone all the way to the pit, so that'll be a caution here. We'll go to our replay and see exactly what happened to bring up the caution just now. Okay, so we check out the incident here. We'll see exactly what happened just now with Marshall Crocker Sr. I think at the moment he's being chased by Jordan West. So check the incident, see exactly what happened. So he's coming over across the tri-oval, about to enter into one. Jordan West gets a huge run on him. West goes to the outside. Doesn't look like an incident so far. So he heads to the high side. West just clips him across. That was a weird situation. I'm not sure what happened there. It looked like he came in, but he didn't look like he was defending the bottom all that hard. So I can't imagine why that would have been the reason. So he hits to the inside to defend. Does he just kind of slide up because of tire wear? He just gets up in front of West. I think West tried to do the crossover, but wasn't expecting him to move up that quick. So kind of a bizarre incident. I just want to see it one more time, maybe from a different angle, just to see exactly what did happen. Back a little bit there. There we go. So I'll do a rear view just to get a better idea of looking behind him. So that's Marshall Crocker Sr. there in the 24 car. West in the 9 gets up to the top. They kind of switch and just make contact there. I'm really not sure what the case was there. It didn't look like either driver really made a major mistake. It was just kind of got together when they tried to cross over into the same line going both ways diagonally. So, well, we head back live. Crocker Sr. he does have 2 quick repairs, so hopefully we won't have a tough time getting back on track. I'm not sure if he's just waiting to use them or what. Max Preston and Josh Gallagher are currently not on track. I'm not sure what the case was there. The drivers all have quick repairs, so I'm really not sure what the case was there. Let's check on Max Preston, because he came into the pits for one a moment ago. Let's check the car of. Yeah, he's perfectly back up to speed after his huge crash, so there are quick repairs available. I'm just not exactly sure why he is still... Oh, I guess because he'd be getting towed, wouldn't he? Okay, that would make more sense, but got that figured out. So on the track map, it looks like I think Manuel Guerra got the lucky dog pass there, so he should head back onto the lead lap, or at least one lap down. Would be the alternative. So lights around on the pace car. Logan Paxton remains your race leader. And after all this exciting action, I do need a quick water break. So we're going to head to another side-by-side. They worked pretty well last broadcast. So hopefully they're still as enjoyable as they were the first time. So we'll head to a side-by-side. We'll watch the cars pace around the track for the moment. And we will come back ready to go for our 3rd green flag of the day and our 2nd restart at Charlotte Motor Speedway for round 3 of the Karts Computers Racing Series Season 2.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we're back after that quick break there. Hopefully the side-by-sides are still working pretty well. It's the first time I've had it fade out to a blank screen there, but hopefully I can get that figured out in the future. But we come out of our side-by-side to, I believe, one more pace lap to go. Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, is now up to speed again after that crash earlier. Looks like his toe finished and he got his damage repaired, but will be 2 laps down when he rejoins the track. He'll actually still be the lucky dog driver, though, to be fair. He will be the first driver a lap down, so another caution would get him a lap back. And again, when it comes to 2 cautions in the first 21 laps of our 175-lap race, you'd imagine they will by no means be our last 2 of the day. So Just checking the chat there quickly while I was taking a break. We have Missy Westbrook in the chat saying woohoo to number 22. I'm assuming that being Andrew Bedrosian. So it's the first time I've seen somebody in here giving some support to Andrew, but he's having a great season so far. I mean, this is only his, I think his third, no, it's his fourth race overall in our series, but he's had, I think, three, no, he had a fifth, a third, and a third. So he's had three top fives. He's never not finished in the top five in our series. So he now sits here behind Logan Pax. I made the pass a moment ago to become our race leader, so we'll get the bonus point for leading the lap. Not quite sure yet about the fastest lap of the race. Oh, well, I remember. Let me just put up the driver car numbers on the, there we go, on the timing tower as well, just so all of you know what driver is which when it comes to numbers tonight. But yeah, Mr. Paxa in the number one car there is currently number one in your race. He took the field to green the last time by, had a very early jump. They got him a pretty good run, but again, something to keep in mind here at ovals like Charlotte, the better jump you get at the very start of the stint, like Logan did, starting almost immediately after the pace car pulled in. I mean, it's good in the short term, but the downside is if you're not able to clear him by like a sizable gap to the guy behind you, you then run the risk of them getting a huge run up the backstretch there. And I think that's just what happened to Logan, because you saw, as I even remarked about it on the last stint, but you saw just how quick Bedrosian was coming up on Pax's back end, coming around the first time through 3 and 4 in the first lap back. Like, Bedrosian had a huge run on him, and he was making headway for sure. So you just got to watch out there, and you got to be prepared to make some defensive maneuvers if you're going to get that big of a jump. But the one thing it does is kind of bunches up spreads out the field behind you. So the guys in the back of the field that maybe aren't expecting to go yet, that kind of catches them off guard and pushes them back a little bit. And if you're thinking long term, you're thinking it's going to be a long green flag run, the further you can push the cars in the back, the better, because it means you can start picking guys off and getting some laps back. Putting them some laps down. So see the lights are off in the pace car there, so we're going to go green this next time by. Let's maybe get a little bit of a different camera angle here just to get a better idea of what we're looking at here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So see all the lovely sponsors and the billboards and the fans and the RVs in the infield there, some tents there. So definitely great facilities here at Charlotte. And you see there the road course there on the bottom of your screen there for the Roval, where we will be going again this season. I mean, I really enjoyed the Roval race in the Skip Barber Series last year. So rest assured, everybody, we will be going back there later this season. I think around 8 or 9, right after the All-Star break. So, well, hopefully everybody's excited for that. I know it should be a good one with a few more road course experienced guys, thanks to really just how much they've done in our series, or how many races they've done over the course of this year. So one of, I think, 2 Skip Barber races, the other one being on Sunday when we go to Moseport, one that's very near and dear to the hearts of many of our Canadian karting drivers in our series. But I will touch more upon that race later before we go there on Sunday. But for the time being, we got to focus on the restart here because Logan Paxa is just about to take the field to green here. We'll see what he does on the start here. Let's see if he can just get as well of a jump as he did on that second restart of the day. So pace car is going to pull into the left there. Logan's going to get on the gas pedal. Green flag here for the 3rd time today at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Well, after a few laps into our current stint there, just took some time to, just kind of exhibit just how great the racing is here at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the iRacing Series, in the, the IndyCar Series, I should say. Great racing so far, but we've seen Logan Paxa and Andrew Bedrosian side by side almost 4 complete laps. They are just running right next to each other. Andrew Bedrosian is working the heck out of Logan Paxa's tires. He's going to sit right above him and burn him out as hard as he can. I'm amazed they haven't made contact once in this entire run so far. Right behind them is Marco Felice and Michael Krobach for the 3rd and 4th positions, but they seem to have cooled off a little bit. Looked like a battle was developing there a moment ago, but They seem to have cooled off. So still side by side is Bedrosian and Paxa there. Now Paxa's going to get a little bit of a run here coming in out of 4. Might be able to clear him. No, he won't. So they're going to go side by side again over the line. Almost led the lap there, did Andrew Bedrosian. I think he might have. He actually came very close. Looks like he did lead the lap that time by. So a little bit further back from them in that battle for 3rd and 4th. Marco Felice now trying to defend from Michael Krobach, who's heading up high. Gonna head to our chopper camera, because in times like this, it's kind of the only logical way that you can show the battles happening on track. Almost identical battles, actually. Kind of a zigzag formation they've formed there. Logan Ferguson will head into the pits this time by, so he will lose a lap and possibly 2, depending on just how quick he comes out of the pits. Again, very short laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but in that battle for 3rd there, you see Marco Felice heading to the inside of Krobach, who's getting a good run off the backstretch. They're going to go side by side. He's got the momentum, does Krobach, but he's got to make it stick in 3, and with the tires being, I think, as old as they are, already about 30 laps old. Amazed he was able to stick with it there. He makes the pass on the outside. Nice move by Krobach. Beautiful throttle control there to make that move. Another caution here you see somewhere on track. That is Max Preston, I believe, is the source of that caution coming out. So we did the 3rd caution of our day. Let's head to Preston here. Visible damage. I'm not sure what that is sticking at the bottom of the car. I'm not particularly sure what that shape is. Let me just check a little bit closer there. He's got visible damage on the bottom. We'll head to the replay to see what happened, but it looked like he had one of those foldable plastic chairs underneath his car. Not exactly sure what happened there, but we'll head to our replay and get it figured out. Well, we are going to get a quick visual on exactly what did just happen to Max Preston there in that Arrow McLaren car for MJ Motorsports. I believe he's coming out of corner 2 here. Gets onto the backstretch. Made a little bit of contact with the wall, but that wouldn't have brought the caution out, but loses speed drastically, heads to the inside. Must have a little bit of outside damage there. You can see he just slows to a halt immediately. Apparently he just didn't feel comfortable with driving the car in the state the steering column was in, but the caution did come out there, so one of the more lax cautions I've ever seen from iRacing, but again, if he had damage and was unable to get up to speed, it'll work out well for Mr. Preston, who I imagine will be getting a quick repair momentarily and will be heading back out to the pits. But now we'll head to the cautions, and we see Andrew Bedrosian coming into the pits, as well as Michael Krobach, Marco Felice, Devin Crosby, Jordan West there. Crosby on the outside of Felice, but Jordan West after that, Rich Foligno and the other Lad Putto Motorsports blue car from Michael Krobach, and then the 2 Diabolique Motorsports entries of John and Manuel Guerra respectively, all coming into the pits. Head to our pit lane cam just to see who wins the race off pit road. Somebody had to back up there. Devin Crosby, I think, came in new hot, so Krobach will beat Bedrosian off pit road, then it's Felice. West just barely beats Foligno for that. That would be the 6th position. But a little bit further back, who's that coming out now? John Guerra moves up a spot there, passes Crosby. So does Manuel Guerra. So Crosby sliding through his pit box to lose him, I think, 3 spots overall there. So again, it's something that I think a lot of drivers don't quite give enough appreciation to, but practicing your pit road entries can be huge here, even under caution. I know a lot of people think that it's important, and it is, to master getting off the track onto the banking there while you're running under green in order to make it into your pit stall as quick as you can. But even under caution, just practicing making a quick entry onto pit road and keeping it as close to the limiter as you can, that being the pit road limiter of 45. I think guys have them available to them in the Indycars, so yeah, they do. What am I saying? Yeah, so guys having that pit limiter on, I mean, you can come as close to it as you want, but if you're able to turn it off, you can actually keep it a few miles per hour above 45, which is normally the limit here. You can keep it at like 47, you won't get penalized, and you'll be just a little bit faster than other drivers, but you got to watch your entry into your pit box, because if you come in too quick, you don't see it perhaps when there's a car in front of you and you got to pull in with a car there. Marshall Crocker Sr. and Devin Crosby, I think, will come in this time by. Crosby coming back in for another pit stop. But yeah, if you come in a little bit too quick and slide through your box, it can be a lot more drastic than the very little time gain you would have had if you come in there as quickly as you could. So it's really it's a risk versus reward scenario where you're like, well, I could gain a position or 2, but I could also lose a lot more than that, as we saw a moment ago. So definitely something to think about. But thinking about the big picture of our race, I mean, we've talked about it a lot this season. Pit strategy is always a big talking point here at the Karts to Computers Racing Series. But just important to mention there. Unfortunately, the pit lane graphic is, well, it's not quite in the way. But of the 2 drivers on the lead lap, or on the in the lead on the whoa, what am I? Okay, let's take a minute. In the top 2 positions of our race, I should say. Both drivers have yet to pit so far, that being Logan Paxa and Justin Lewick. Lewick moving up actually 9 spots from 11th at the start of this race, so well, good forward progress from him. But those are the only 2 drivers who have yet to pit. And Logan has had kind of a unique pit style overall. For really the first 2 seasons of our series so far. I mean, last year he was making some great pit calls that allowed him to win Spa and Laguna Seca by almost a minute apiece. But at other times it didn't quite work out that way, and there were times where he would. No, he wouldn't pit, but now he's going to. So right as I mentioned, actually, Justin Lewick will stay out. So Lewick will continue to pace around in the lead, and we'll see if the lights on the pace car head off. But Logan will head into the pits, move to the back of the line of cars that did just pit. So he'll have 1 lap newer tires. Maybe it's part of a strategy for him to just have as much fuel and as much as new tires as he can, which is always a strategy. I mean, if he's going for the fuel conservation, he's looking long term, then never necessarily a bad thing to come in when you feel is right, even if it means losing a couple spots on track. So Michael Krobach, who pitted, will move all the way up to 2nd. Pretty good deal for him there in the Lead Pedal Motorsports blue entry. We'll just pull the pit strategy off now that Logan Paxa is headed out. But I'll throw up the timing tower once again just to give you an idea of where everybody shuffles out with the pit stop. Logan Paxa, I believe, will head to the back of the longest line. Unless Logan Ferguson has a penalty, because it's telling Logan to pass, I was going to say Logan to pass Logan, but that's not very descriptive, is it? But no, it's telling Paxa to pass Ferguson, so not going to question it. Maybe Ferguson got his lap back with the lucky dog. I'm honestly not sure. But I think Marshall Crocker Sr. would have got the lucky dog bonus and gone back on to only 1 lap down, but I think pitting negates that, that ability, so Max Preston is now, he's actually left the race, unfortunately, so not exactly sure. He had 2 quick repairs. I know that was the 2nd incident of the day. Not exactly sure what happened to him, because he just pulled off, tried to get back up to speed, but he made it to the pits, so it's a shame to see. Max Preston, again, is a very, very quick driver. I can tell you from the road course that we ran last week at Watkins Glen, he was running some great races there and some great lap times, so I know he's a talented guy. It's just a shame that at the ovals, this is the 2nd time that he hasn't finished a race at an oval this season, so hopefully that will change going forward. But well, for the time being, Logan Paxa, we head to 1 more lap to go, has pitted to not become your race leader, which means that it'll be given to Justin Lewick, who in the process of leading that lap will now get a bonus point for, as I just said, leading laps. And he will take the field consisting of Michael Krobach, Andrew Bedrosian, Marco Felice, Jordan West, Rich Foligno, John Guerra, Manuel Guerra, Devin Crosby, Logan Paxa, and Logan Ferguson. All the lead lap cars there, 2 green for our 3rd restart of the day, 4th green flag overall. And right sitting in the middle there is, I think that's Josh Gallagher right there behind Mr. Justin Lewick. Let's just look behind Justin, and yeah, you see the 6th car there of Josh Gallagher, who remains out on track despite being 3 laps down. So looks like the marshals have not told him to move back to the back of the line, I should say. The marshals being the virtual racing ones, not me. Just going to take a quick swig of water here before we get ready to go green. Lots of action means lots of talking, which means got to hydrate. There we go. Again, unfortunately, last week at Watkins Glen, it was a lot of talking during cautions, but well, tonight when we have so much action, it's hard to do a lot of play-by-play without getting frequent breaks. So, I mean, I always want to keep the number of commercials we need to do down, but well, it's always good to have some racing action. And we are about to see a racing action go back to green here as we see the pace car pull onto the left side of pit road there. Justin Lewick getting ready to take the field to green. Actually, a little bit later of a start than we've seen from Logan Paxa today, but he's on the gas pedal. Green flag. Here we go for the 4th time today at Charlotte Motor Speedway for round 3 of our series. Great jump from Josh Gallagher right behind him. He's going to make the pass into corner 1. He's not even on the lead lap. He will take his lap back with kind of some gusto there. Makes the pass almost immediately there on Lewick. So Lewick's just got to remember, he's not battling him for position there, is he, with Josh Gallagher? But he's got Michael Krobach sitting right behind him there to, well, currently to his inside there. And then Krobach being chased by both Bedrosian and Felice there behind him. I like this camera because it kind of gives a good establishing shot behind, but caution comes out again almost immediately. Just as quickly as I saw the pace car head down pit road was it coming back out onto the track. So John Guerra was actually the car that brought the caution out that time by. Let's just check on his car. Got plenty of damage, so he'll for sure need a quick repair. But let's go to the replay and see exactly what just happened. Well, we can get a replay here with John Guerra, see exactly what brought out our fourth caution of the night. Let's resume here and see what happens. So this is coming out of corner 2 onto the backstretch. Same spot that Preston had his incident. Heads to the outside there with Crocker to the inside. Crocker just gets a huge run, heads underneath, and I guess Guerra just wasn't expecting to have to give him that much room. Look at the flips there. I have never seen a car make that many complete barrel rolls, and he comes upside down, sitting, yeah, actually perfectly upside down there for a moment. Finally balanced out a little bit to the diagonal side, but he headed to the pits, had to tow, which means he will have a brief amount of time in which he will lose a couple of laps. It should be about 2 if he has to tow the same amount of time that Marshall Crocker Sr. did. So that means that Michael Krobach will become your race leader, as Justin Luke did pit that time by, or I think he just exited now. So Justin Luke will move back to 10th position. Of course, John Guerra will move behind him because now he is going to be a couple laps down when he rejoins the track, hopefully momentarily. But that means that we only have 10 drivers left in the lead lap currently, those being Michael Krobach, your race leader, Andrew Bedrosian, Marco Felice, Jordan West, Rich Foligno, Devin Crosby, Logan Ferguson, Justin Lewick, Logan Paxa, and Manuel Guerra. Going through the teams here, trying to count the teams with 2 drivers left in the lead lap. The only 2, I think, being the team of the Logan Motorsports teammates of Logan Ferguson and Logan Paxa, sitting 8th and 9th respectively, and then the LPM Blue teammates of Michael Krobach and Rich Foligno, 1st and 5th, both drivers in the top 5. Pretty impressive tonight, but after that, looks like no team has 2 drivers on the lead lap. So, interesting thing to note there. It looks like everybody's starting to spread out a little bit tonight. Seeing as Max Preston, Justin Lewick's teammate, is now out of the race. Not sure why that is the case, but he is not on the lead lap. And Josh Gallagher, only 1 lap down, important to mention, but that is still a lap down there. His teammate Devin Crosby sitting in 6th as we speak, so... Well, let's check the lights in the pace car. I think if I had to guess, it'll be 2 more laps around before we head back to green. Marshall Crocker Sr., Josh Gallagher, and Justin Lewick will all head into the pits. Lewick actually coming back in from a moment ago. Not exactly sure why that is the case, considering he did just pit, but Gallagher and Crocker will also come in, get a fresh pair of rubber, and, fresh set of rubber, I should say, and we'll also get some fuel to help run even longer in tonight's race without having to pit again. So I'm going to take another brief break. We're going to go side by side with, I believe, 2 more laps of pacing to go. And we will go back to our 5th green flag of the night at Charlotte Motor Speedway momentarily.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we're back with round 3 of the 2020 Karts and Computers iRacing Series Season 2 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway with the Dallara IR18 Indycar. Gonna check the lights there on the pace car, see if we go back green this time by. Obviously, you never want to run too many caution laps because after a while it gets just a tad bit boring to try to wait it out for some actual racing action. We're gonna go 1 more lap under pacing here. I'm gonna quickly go in the chat for times like this because again, hopefully we don't have too many tonight. I think it should be a fairly decently clean race, I should say. I know the guys with enough practice tend to be able to keep it clean towards the end of our races, but just checking the chat there. The side by sides are awesome. Glad to hear it. I do need a new sponsor. I'm currently, as kind of an inside peek, I'm not actually sponsored. Well, I'm not officially sponsored by iRacing. It's always they always want people broadcasting to put up the quick video clip there, and it's always good for people that may tune into our races from really the racing community outside of the iRacing kind of the iRacing bubble we formed here on YouTube, but all the time. I mean, we get people just clicking onto the race broadcasts from really wherever. I know a lot of people that just watch normal racing content, whether it be for NASCAR, F1, IndyCar, it doesn't matter. They sometimes come over to our races because this is technically tagged on YouTube side as an auto racing video, not as a gaming video. So, never know. Sometimes people come in and maybe don't know what the service is, or maybe haven't heard of iRacing, which would surprise me at this point, but you never know. So it's always good to have the videos to play, but I don't actually have sponsors. Don't have sponsor videos to play. I know some of the guys individually have sponsors, but nobody to actually sponsor it with videos or anything. So if there's any sponsors out there you want to sponsor our series, I'm more than happy just to give people some recognition. Because again, I know that we don't get, I mean, not huge viewership here, but I mean, it's more, it's not really for that purpose. It's more so just so everybody can come out here and watch guys and watch the guys they know, and whether it be family or friends, to see them and do the racing that they do, where maybe they can't go see them in real life, and maybe you live too far away from Hamilton to come out and see a race on the karting side, or for whatever reason. I know Andrew Bedrosian has some support in the chat tonight, and I know that he's actually American, so he wouldn't have friends and family out from our area. So it's good to see that people, the more and more as we had people from all over the world, maybe we're getting some different attention there. But yeah, I'm not here to do the sponsorship, or not. Well, I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just saying I'm not here for the sake of sponsors and to make money off the series, because again, it's not what I do for the entry fee, and it's not what I do for these guys with sponsorship and stuff. So again, it's a fun thing to kill my nights, and it's a fun thing. It's a fun thing to do, and I enjoy doing them every weekend. And really, all I can ask is that the more support we get and the more people we see doing these broadcasts, the even better it feels to bring out this action to all you guys there at home. So yeah, we'll see if we get more sponsors. It'd be glad to show a different video rather than that same one over and over for what I think is the 30th time overall in our series or something. But well, as for right now, we'll have to stick with that one. But finally, we finish off the pace laps and get ready to go green here. Michael Krobach, your current race leader, with Andrew Bedrosian right behind him. Logan Paxa has now factored out of the lead battle for the time being, all the way back to 8th after getting new rubber a moment ago, as well as Justin Lillick pitting that last time by. So pace car is going to head into the left. Michael Krobach immediately on the gas pedal, green, green, green for a lap 43 to begin of 175 for the third race of our season. Michael getting a pretty good jump there from Andrew behind him. Let's just look back to the rear chase camera just to see exactly how good of a jump he did get. Honestly, not a huge one there from Bedrosian behind him. Bedrosian's going to have a huge run down the backstretch here. These two are pretty close. They've had some good battles this season, but they've always stayed very clean with each other. So let's see if Andrew's going to make a big move here, try to get the lead of tonight's race. Still got that big run. He's going to head to the inside. Michael's not going to block at all. He's just going to let him slide right underneath him. Bedrosian makes the pass there, almost uncontested. Now Felice is going to try to go with him. Is Krobach going to block Felice? I'm thinking maybe he let Bedrosian by because of the relationship they have on track together, but he's almost going to let Marco Felice by scot-free as well. Yeah, Felice, if he's able to make it stick and keep it under him, should make the pass by a car length there. Doesn't quite make it. I think if he'd committed there, he would have gotten it a moment ago, but doesn't decide to. No, Jordan West is going to go with and make the pass there for third if he's able to make it stick. Coming in a little bit too far to the inside there was Felice a moment ago. I think he got on the apron a little bit and sent the back end around, so that would pull off all of his momentum. Krobach making the pass on Felice, which means behind them, Jordan West just the same will almost make the pass, but Felice is able to defend from West, so he will maintain that position for the time being. Further back in the field, Logan Ferguson got passed a moment ago by Justin Lillick, has already taken off and passed Josh Gallagher ahead, so Justin Lillick will now pass, if he's able, Marshall Crocker Sr., who is currently a few laps down there in 12th. But again, Lillick's got to make up some track position here, so we'll see exactly what his plan is with the lapped car of Marshall Crocker Sr. But further ahead in the field, I got to check my timing tower to see exactly who is where on track. Logan Paxton just made the move on Devin Crosby right as we cut to him, so Logan pushing through the field there, already up 2 spots from 8th to 6th in this current stint, now trying to chase down Rich Foligno, one of the LPM blue cars. Up at the head of the field, Andrew Bedrosian still currently your race leader, but Marco Felice and Michael Krobach may be battling behind for second, unless Michael is able to get a good run up there to Bedrosian, because obviously, again, he didn't seem to defend too hard against Andrew Bedrosian there when he was trying to maintain his lead position, but Marco Felice has both yet to lead a lap, and I don't think he's actually made the pass at any point for the lead on a lap yet, so you know, Marco both wants that bonus point and the ability just to know the confidence that he could get up to the front if he was able to. So let's see if he can indeed. But I mean, Michael, the smart thing to do if he does really want to stay up front there with Andrew is just to run on the outside, block both lanes off for Marco Felice, meaning he has to commit to a driver, and we'll hope that one of them makes a mistake and he's able to slide up there in a second. But for the time being, he still won't be able to. It's very nice defense being played here by Andrew Bedrosian. That was one of the Diabolique Motorsports cars. Can't quite tell yet who that was. I think that was John Garrett there that was running off the pace, so he was able to avoid them there. Marco Felice making the pass there in the process up to second, so Marco now a kind of a foreign face there to Andrew Bedrosian, a guy that I don't think he's really raced with so much this season, and certainly isn't one of the guys he knows through the Lad Pedal Motorsports affiliate, so Well, now becomes kind of a mystery behind him. How exactly he's going to defend? Huge variation in lines down the backstretch there. Everybody was heading every which way there in order to try to keep their positions. So I believe if we had more... No, we are just coming around for lap 51, so already 50 laps down. We're about maybe maybe 2/5 of the way through a race. No, that's not correct, but pretty decently quick so far. But you can see just how quickly 50 laps goes by here as opposed to Watkins Glen last weekend. But Marco Felice is going to think about a pass to the outside of Bedrosian. Bedrosian moves up to block. He is going to slow down way hard on the inside to try to make the corner. I think he barely made contact there with Marco Felice. No caution there. I thought again that they slowed down, but sometimes the cameras play tricks in my mind. But Logan Paxa, where did he come from? I guess I wasn't remarking and paying attention to how quickly he was coming through the field, but my goodness, he made the pass on both Crosby and Foligno almost immediately, so he has moved up to 4th. Bedrosian heads down to the apron. He's able to save it, but not sure what happened there. That's going to allow Marco Felice to take off with the lead. Felice is flying away. Let's just get a good look at the rear of Felice's car just to see what is happening behind him. Back in the field, so now Michael Krobach moves up to 2nd. Bedrosian now has to defend from Logan Paxa. He went from confidently your leader a moment ago to now he's trying to keep himself out of the mouth of the beast known as Logan Paxa. He's got some work to do there, because I know Logan in our practice race, I think earlier this week, was making some nice moves. I believe he was in one of them, so... Well, Logan has some pretty nifty maneuvers here at Ovals, even if he has yet to win at one yet in our series, so... Well, he's got some moves there that Bedrosian will need to think about defending. Bedrosian, as he comes down here into 3, doesn't look like he's got the run behind him, does Logan Paxa, to make the move here, but... Still something to look out for Bedrosian. If he can get back in the draft at Krobach, he might be able to slipstream pull himself back up to 2nd, but... For the time being, now Michael Krobach has to refocus and look up front to Marco Felice, who's now your race leader. Looking back again, Paxa looks like he might look out to the outside and try to make the move there in 2, I should say, but thought better of it. Decided to cancel that move from happening. So, nonetheless, he will still remain in 4th, which after starting 8th on that last restart is not a bad effort at all from Mr. Paxa. So, looking back in the field a little bit, John Guerra appears to have rejoined the track. He's now 11 laps down. I think he's just had quite a number of pit stops throughout the course of the race. Not exactly sure why. It wouldn't be for tires or anything, and he hasn't gotten too many major incidents besides I think one earlier in the race. So not sure. Well, I guess the one that he had a moment ago, but I'm not sure why exactly 11 laps down. After that, the only other 2 drivers left in our race a lap down, but still entering in the race here is Josh Gallagher, who's a lap down currently. Josh Gallagher is sitting, just coming around the tri-oval there on your track map. Doesn't really look involved with that lead pack, so looks like he'll need to wait for the lucky dog if he wants to get that lap back. But elsewhere in the field, I think Marshall Crocker Sr. is the only other driver left in the race, but not on the lead lap. I'm not quite sure where he is on the track map. I'd have to find him there. But, well, this battle between Bedrosian and Paxa hasn't really escalated for the moment, but Marco Felice still has Michael Krobach right behind him. Almost wondering if his plan isn't so much to pass Felice immediately, but maybe get in his draft and try to work together in order to save fuel long term and, I guess, hypothetically save tires. But that is easier said than done, even if you do have the draft of the car in front of you, because, well, you get a good run on the straightaways, allowing you to kind of relax up in the corners a little bit, not need to focus as much about perfect corner entries. But, oh, Michael Krobach popped out of the feed very quickly there. His internet dropped out for a second, but he is back, and he is right on the tail end of Marco Felice. Felice got a very good run on the corner that time. Not sure if it's on the exit if I'll have the same fact. No, he won't. He had to check up real hard. Krobach's going to go all the way to the outside. Had the lead there crossing the line. He'll make the move around the outside. Just barely slots in by the time he's made it past Felice. A nice move there by Krobach. Michael Krobach heads back to the lead of this field. And again, the Oval Master is Mr. Michael Krobach. I believe only one Oval race all series that he hasn't won was won by his teammate Josh Gallagher for our very first race of our series last year at Indianapolis. So Marco has now fallen off about 5/10, a half a second to Michael in front of him. Looking back, Logan Paxa made the move on Andrew Bedrosian while we were too busy with that battle. So the number 22 car there of Andrew Bedrosian will drop back a spot, meaning that Logan Paxa will move up to 3rd position. Now we'll begin his charge up front to Marco Felice in 2nd place. But another guy that I haven't really talked about much today, but Devin Crosby is starting to move through the field very rapidly here. He was kind of involved with Jordan West and Rich Foligno for 6th and 7th a moment ago, but now as he starts to get a little bit better of a run, he now has Andrew Bedrosian about 7/10 in front of him, which by no means is a long distance to go at track with as much slipstream as this one has. But Bedrosian trying to rethink a move underneath Logan Paxa this time by. They're going to go side by side. He's got the inside, so if Logan's able to make a beautiful corner, he'll defend it, but he will actually. Wow, Bedrosian had to whoa up real hard not to slide up ahead into Logan Paxa there on the outside, but Paxa defending for the time, but they're still side by side. Bedrosian loses the nose underneath Paxa, so he'll have to drop back to 4th. All this battling is exactly what Devin Crosby right behind him needs in that LPM green car. Felice and Krobach up ahead are starting to separate, but Crosby there, what's actually going... maybe not on board, but we'll go in our chase view just to see what Devin Crosby sees in front of him. A little bit loud in my headset. Hopefully the car volume isn't too loud, but yeah, Crosby is getting a great run up there to Bedrosian lap by lap every time he sits here. He's kind of in the perfect spot for a good slipstream, so we'll think about that in a moment, but the number 5 car sitting in the number 5 position. I'd imagine if he's able to keep up this pace that he has right now, that will not be the case for long, but Marco Felice up front. We'll head back to Logan Paxa, who appears to have a pretty good visual on Marco, but I'm wondering if Marco's just burned the tires out, because he's starting to head backwards a little bit, already a second and a half back from Michael Krobach after a moment ago where he was battling right with him, so I'm wondering if in all that effort with battling, he just kind of burned the tires out a little bit, and he doesn't quite have the rubber quality it would take to make the corners as well as he was earlier in the run, which means that if Logan and Andrew were able to defend, or able to conserve a little bit better their tires, which would surprise me because they were battling, then they may be able to make a move. Right as I say that, Paxa gets a huge run of momentum right when Felice needed to check up to make the corner, so Paxa will make the move now, head up to 3rd position. Let's check on Bedrosian, see what he's doing. Bedrosian's actually falling back a little bit, so maybe my theory was right. Maybe it was just that battle that was burning off the rubber on their tires a little bit there, which maybe means that the more experienced guys are going to have success keeping the tires going long term. Andrew Bedrosian pitting this time by will now come in. Oh, sorry, no, we won't. I'm talking about Justin Lewick, I should say. But yeah, Andrew Bedrosian will now consider making a move on Felice because again, Andrew was falling back from Logan, but not quite as quickly as Marco's falling back from Michael. So now, right in the draft again, maybe we'll head to actually we'll head to a cockpit view if I can get the sound all figured out. The cockpit views in iRacing are very, very loud, so always very risky to go to them. But this is the corner that Marco keeps having trouble in, so let's see if indeed he's able to make the move here on the inside. Maybe go to the outside depending on where Marco defends, but yeah, Marco was losing pace lap by lap very quickly, so see what Bedrosian there in the 22 is looking at in front of him. He's got a pretty good slipstream there. Ooh, Marco's going to head to the inside of Logan again. Where did Marco get that run from? How are they catching up to Logan this quick? Is Logan having the same tire problems they are, is what I'm wondering. Logan just barely misses the wall, but he'll make the pass back on Felice. Where is Andrew thinking of going, though? Because Marco's got the whole track blocked out in front of him. Going to head to the inside, right on the apron. Manages to make it stick. Beautiful defense there from Marco Felice. Finishing in the last position last race because he dropped out as a result of too many incidents there. But now he's fighting with a vengeance to keep his positions. Huge block by Marco there on the inside. Andrew just with nowhere to go to make the pass there. Now he's going to head to the outside, switch up his plan a little bit. Over, under. Gets underneath, almost goes below the blue line. He is doing everything to make the pass on Marco here. Gets too close to the apron. He'll have to check up, which means Marco will keep the position. Huge defensive maneuvers from Marco here to try to keep that third spot from himself. Now that Logan has made the pass, I'm sure he wants to conserve every position he possibly can. Somebody on track. Oh, they're just in the pits. Sorry, I was saying somebody on the track had spun, but that is not indeed the case. Logan Ferguson now exiting out of the pits, who pitted a moment ago, or I think he's about to. But again, you just talk about Bedrosian trying to get by Felice. Felice and Bedrosian come together. You see an on-board crash there from the perspective of Andrew Bedrosian. Finally, after a very heated battle these last few laps, finally came to a head. Bedrosian tried to make a big move, and the two will take each other out. Felice was defending hard, but sometimes you just got to give up the position this early in a race, especially when you know you have older tires than they do. They get together. We'll go to a caution, but we'll go to a replay there. But you guys kind of saw the whole thing happen on board there. Lap by lap, you were just watching him get closer and closer to the back end of Marco Felice there, and finally, it all came to a head right there. So we will go to a replay and see exactly what did just happen from a different perspective. So here you see Marco about a half car length ahead of Andrew Bedrosian this time by. So I think this is coming through 1 and 2. So they come onto the backstretch here. See the run Andrew gets, tries to send it to the bottom, and Marco, yeah, just comes down on him, tries to block. He had one move, but I think Marco was a little too far past his back end to still be trying to make that that block there. So not necessarily a huge fault of either driver, but just a case of, yeah, again, like I talked about, I probably wouldn't be trying to make such aggressive defensive move this early in a race. But I mean, you've got quick repairs. It's for position, so I mean, I wouldn't have defended there if I was Marco. I think he was a little bit too close to his back end, but well, you never know. That's kind of racing for you. So I'm never somebody that wants to say that too much, as we see Andrew Bedrosian coming to the pits this time by, as well as I think a few other drivers. That was Crosby, West, and maybe a few others. Not quite sure exactly who came in that time, but again, I mean, that's just the kind of the racer's instinct. If you see a position there and you think you're ahead of him, well, you're going to try to block it and keep that spot for yourself. So did what he thought he needed to do. A few guys, exiting the pits. Exiting the pits, actually, I should say. Michael Krobach comes out of the pits. Logan Paxa, Rich Foligno behind them. Devin Crosby coming out. Manuel Guerra behind in fifth. Jordan West, Andrew Bedrosian just exiting now. Josh Gallagher, I believe, is the first car to not pit, but I think all the lead lap cars pit that time by, with the exception of Josh Gallagher, who can't pit because he's trying to get Lucky Dog pass back. So, well, I think we're going to head to one more side by, or maybe not one more. We not even halfway through the race, so we'll probably need maybe one or two more left today. But yeah, we're going to head to a side by side there. Now that all the cars have factored out, and Michael Krobach will be our current race leader when we head back to green next time by.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Well, after another quick break there, we return with lap 75 of 175, now only 100 to go in tonight's race. To see Michael Krobach, still your current race leader. I believe this will be his third restart of the day as the leader, if indeed he is able to come around and not pit one more time, which he should, just did. But just checking the chat quickly as Andrew Bedrosian heads into the pits this time by. Not exactly sure why I think he's pitting twice, but again, you never know here at Charlotte. If you have the extra lap and you're not going to lose a spot, might as well come in and try to get as new tires and fuel as you can. But looking at the chat, we see Justin Lewick. It's a real shame because saying he's had technical issues and has had to retire from tonight's race. So it's a real shame, Justin. Sorry to hear that. I mean, you were having a good race there at the start. So it's unfortunate to hear. I know you've been a very passionate guy about making these races as much of a success as possible. I mean, by the end of last season, you had a bunch of good finishes going. So some success last week at Watkins Glen. Unfortunately, going to head out early tonight, but well, we're going to Mosport on Saturday, so maybe that's your chance to turn it around, which brings me to Mosport on, Sunday, I should say. Our Father's Day race this season, not necessarily intentional, but it will fall on Father's Day night, so hopefully, I didn't even think about that when I scheduled it. Hoping everybody isn't too busy, everybody out there. I know that some people do like Father's Day dinner and stuff, and obviously I don't think you can really go out this time of year, but I mean, yeah, hopefully people are still able to make it out to the race. I know it's at Mosport, which I feel bad making a track that everybody was so excited for on Father's Day. So maybe we'll talk to everybody, see if people need Father's Day off. Maybe we'll postpone it or something, or maybe we'll figure out a different night. But for the time being, that is still the plan, that we will host Sunday's race at Mosport in the Skip Barber Series. Up ahead, Josh Gallagher will get the wave around there, as he was the car right behind the pace car on the lead lap there. So good to see that. He'll get his lap back. But yeah, we go there in the Skip Barber Series on Sunday. A race that I'm really looking forward to because it's by far the most highly requested track we've had from all the drivers out there. I mean, Mossport only a few hours drive away from most of us Ontario residents in this series. So it's a very important track to us Canadians. And I know a lot of these guys have experience racing there in other disciplines. I know obviously the karting track, and that is not where I don't think I've ever seen a race at the real track that they run NASCAR races and stuff at. I know they have the training circuit there, not too far away. I think in the same part of the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. So I've been there, never been to the real track, but I know it's near and dear to the hearts of many of our drivers here. So figured I'd throw it on the season's calendar, and we're gonna go there in the Skip Barber Series because it's definitely by far the best road course car for that specific kind of layout. The Indycar is just a little bit too quick for a track like that, but well, looking forward to that on Sunday. Maybe I'll give a little bit more information about that in a moment. But for the time being, Michael Krobach is about to take the field back to green with Logan Paxa right behind him. After that, Rich Foligno, Devin Crosby, and Andrew Bedrosian will round out your top 5. Getting ready to go green here once the pace car takes the hard left onto pit road. He'll make that pace car onto the... Whoa, okay. Pace car will head left. Green flag here. Michael Krobach will take the field to green for the 5th time tonight. 5th restart, 6th overall. Green flag. Michael getting a great jump there on Logan Paxa behind him. Michael's already heading up to the lead position of the field, but everybody kind of spreading out early. It looks like the closest battle here is going to be between Rich Foligno and Devin Crosby back there for 3rd and 4th, but never mind. Logan Paxa gets a huge run up to the inside of Michael Krobach, flies in there into corner 3, takes the position with ease. Logan Paxa becomes your race leader once again. Important to note, still doesn't have an oval win in our series so far, and whether it be both seasons. So the absolute class of our series the last 2 years, the last 2 seasons, who has yet to win an oval race against the Oval Master, as I've dubbed him at certain points during the last 2 seasons. So this is the battle you want to see at one of our oval races, and it's honestly not really a battle so far. Logan's getting great runs off the corners, so Michael will need a good run in order to catch up in the entry here. It looks like he will. Michael's got a great head of steam going there. Pax is going to have to move up to block. The top 4 all in really close quarters at the moment. See this good outside angle with a good establishing shot from the outside wall, just to show you the cars coming around corner 2. Devin Crosby's going to look to make a move on Rich Foligno there, his teammate there at Leadpedal Motorsports, but not teammates of the exact same affiliate. Of course, blue for Rich Foligno, green for Devin Crosby, so maybe thought better about the move, but no doubt that will escalate a moment from now. Michael's still right behind Logan, getting ready to make a move there again, no doubt, but behind them, again, almost an identical battle between Crosby and Foligno. I mean, we mentioned a moment ago, it looked like it was an identical battle between Felice and I forget who he was battling with. It was Felice and Paxa and Bedrosian and Krobach. It looks like just identical battles, but still what is happening now is Paxa trying to defend from Krobach as we come across the line for lap 81 this time by, so almost getting to the halfway point of our race. Lap, I believe, 87 will be the halfway point. But yeah, Paxton defending down the backstretch. Maybe Krobach will look to the inside. Doesn't appear to this time by. Just didn't quite get the run he would have wanted. Unless he's trying to outlast him with tires, which appears to kind of be Michael's strategy at most ovals. He's confident in his tire conservation skills, if I had to guess. So maybe trying to make moves that would inspire other drivers that maybe don't have as much practice as he does to burn off tires quicker than he will and allow him to get better pace over these long runs. But man, if there's a guy you don't want to try to play the experience game with, it's Logan Paxa, because he's just had so much success everywhere we've gone. And I mean, to try to play the game that you're better on tire conservation than somebody like him, it's a bold move from Krobach if that is indeed what he's doing. I would think with one of his runs, he would try to make a more aggressive move either to the high side or the low side. But maybe after watching the battle between Bedrosian and Felice a moment ago, he's thinking, well, maybe that's not always the best course of action, because big moves like that can work wonders at the end of the race. And I would have loved to see a battle between Bedrosian and Felice happening at lap maybe 160 rather than lap just 60. So, well, it's a shame that that had to happen, but that's not the kind of battling we're seeing for the time being between Krobach and Paxa. So, gotta wonder if that is indeed Michael's plan, just to play the long game, not make any huge bashful moves until he needs to, and or again, maybe he's just trying to burn off the tires from Paxa. Right as I say it, Michael starts to bob and weave there on the high line. Now he's going to head to the high side, so Logan will slide up a little bit, lose the momentum on exit. Will Michael be able to put that to good use as they come across the tri-oval? Doesn't appear to be, but his teammate there, the Leadpedal Motorsports blue driver of Rich Foligno, is now joining the fray a little bit, as well as Devin Crosby. So Logan Paxa trying to hold 3 Leadpedal Motorsports cars behind him from 2 different teams nonetheless. But Well, look at that. Logan's going to get right on the apron there. Almost puts a tire below the blue line, but yeah, very interesting way. He's running right against the line, whereas Michael is about a half lane up at all times, even if he's not necessarily thinking about making a move. So, again, Michael maybe just thinking long term with the tires. That actually seemed like a little bit too far out of an entry for the sake of tire conservation. So, again, you want to head to the outside to try to get a good move on the apex through the corners each lap in order to conserve tires. But sometimes if you head too far to the outside, you got to overcorrect to try to make the corner on exit. It looked like that was what happened to Michael there, which allows Logan to get his biggest lead he's had coming across the line so far in this stint. So Michael going to head down to the bottom there on the apron one more time. Sorry, Logan, I should say. Logan is the guy that hits to the bottom. Michael tends to keep it about maybe 2 car widths up from the bottom of the track there. Now he's going to go even higher on the entry this time. So kind of settling into a parade here between the top 4. Rich Foligno isn't really catching him too quickly to Michael Krobach. Same with Devin Crosby behind. So Michael's still generally in the vicinity. Maybe we'll go on board one more time. Not to jinx anybody, because last time we went on board it led to a crash, but hopefully this battle will not have the same result. Hopefully the sound is good there for everybody on these cockpit views. iRacing is naturally very, very loud when it comes to inside the cockpit, so I gotta balance out my sound levels crazy low just to get it to sound proper. But Michael isn't going to make a move for the time being, but Rich Foligno, important to mention, sitting right behind in the other LPM blue car. We'll head on board with him for a moment. Just watch the battle up front happen from his perspective. It's always nice to get views like this because iRacing, again, is a beautiful simulator from this perspective. So doesn't appear to have made a move happen quite yet, has Michael Krobach. He's still thinking about that top line, but I mean, if Logan makes the defensive maneuvers he is on the bottom, like he has so far, he won't really have much trouble keeping him to the outside here. Didn't manage to clear him that time by, so Michael's going to head to the high side. Might be able to make it all the way around. Michael's showing up as first on the timing tower, but Logan takes it back coming into corner 3. Rich Foligno is actually starting to move back a little bit from the 2 in front, so we'll head back on board with Michael Krobach. Sitting right on the outside there, Logan Paxa. I think he might make the move momentarily if he's able. We'll look at the left front tire there to see where he gets on this straightaway in comparison to Logan Paxa. Actually, I'm going to pull the timing tower down for a moment just to get a better visual here, but see there on the car of Michael Krobach, I think he's made the pass entirely as far as I can tell, so he has indeed. He'll clear him to the outside. Michael Krobach on lap 92 becomes your race leader once again. Krobach and Paxa, again, the 2 most successful drivers in our series all time. One has several oval wins, one has currently none, so a lot to live for if you're Logan Paxa, and a lot to prove tonight if you want to make a statement when it comes to the ovals going forward this season. So he's done a wonderful job of it tonight. He's making some great maneuvers here, and his great defense only could last so long there, and he finally had to give the position up to Krobach for a spot in tonight's race. But looking back, we'll put the timing tower and track map up one more time. Looking back a little bit, Rich Foligno was starting to catch them for a moment. I mean, you guys saw when he went on board with them, he was almost right behind Krobach, but isn't exactly falling back, but he's not catching him up as quick as he was a moment ago either. So that is allowing Devin Crosby, a Ladpeta Motorsports affiliate teammate of his, to catch up a little bit, but he also wasn't making huge headway either. Another guy a little bit back in the field I want to mention is Andrew Bedrosian, who he was having a great run that last time by. I think he just got too far back in terms of track position on the restart, which meant that, well, now he's sitting there already 5 full seconds back, about half a straightaway to the guys in front that he's battling with in theory for position. So, but by the same token, Jordan West is the closest guy behind him, and he's already 9 seconds back of the leaders, about 3.5 back from Bedrosian. So, well, clearly he's got some. He's either going to have to put down some crazy good lap times if he wants to catch up under green, or he's going to have to wait for a caution, which is a possibility. Another thing to mention, though, is Andrew's actually been really good at in and out laps. As I mentioned in our race recap today, he had a great one there at Watkins Glen last week that almost gave him a shot at the win. So, well, you never know with stuff like that. It's kind of the uncontrollable element to iRacing in ways where if you don't get a ton of practice with it, you just gotta put faith in your ability to make pit in and out laps. And that was one of the things that really decided our race yesterday when we did our practice race, that Rich Foligno, who's currently sitting in 3rd, he won last night. As it kind of comes down to, those pit in and out laps where it's the little things. It's not coming in too early and not entering the pits off the backstretch, but at the same time, it's not about, trying to do too much in pit exit and risking spinning yourself on the apron or something. So It's something that if we stay under green is something important to keep in mind between these two. And I've seen passes coming onto the apron to make it into pit road. So if that were the case and these two stay locked at the hip, considering they did pit on the same lap, let me just pull up the pit strategy graphic to check exactly what lap that was. So 25 laps ago, that would have been lap 73. So yeah, they did pit on the same lap as well as Rich Foligno and Devin Crosby behind them. So if you do indeed pit that long ago, you got to think that they would have to come in relatively soon. I mean, the first stint went 32 laps, but Pax has stayed out 34. So well, it's a possibility that they would need to pit right next to each other in a battle, which would be the first time we've seen it all day. I'm actually going to throw up the battle box as well, the first time we have in a little while in this series, but it's always pretty informative, so we'll keep it up there as a good showing of just how close these guys are running for the top 4 spots. Devin Crosby about a half-second back of the top 3, but Foligno getting closer and closer a little bit once again. I think the time that I keep seeing is he's sitting about maybe 6.5 tenths back of the guys in front, so getting closer and closer with every passing corner here. Well, actually, we'll head back to Rich Foligno as Logan starts to lax off a bit from the back of Krobach. Let's actually just get the shot that gives you a better idea of what Foligno's seeing in front of him. But again, maybe Foligno was thinking even more long-term than these guys in front of him, and he was saving tires better than these guys, which, I mean, again, he won the practice race last night. There would be precedent for it, to say the least. But on the apron there, that's somebody rejoining the track. That is Josh Gallagher, who will now fall 2 laps down, meaning we only have 6 cars left on the lead lap of this race. Battle between Logan Paxa and Michael Krobach, still ferocious for sure. Paxa is in his draft, but I think he's just... I think he's woven up a little bit earlier into corners in order to not quite make the pass and become the guy that is able to allow Krobach to draft, which currently he isn't. You'd think in theory if Logan were managing his tires and fuel well, he would have an advantage at the moment compared to Michael Krobach and could maybe go a few laps longer if he's trying to make a strategy work on fuel. So when Rich Foligno came only 5 tenths away from the lead there, he got even closer that time by, but for whatever reason has dropped back about a tenth again. He cut the apron really close that time, actually important to mention, but starting to drop back a little bit this time. I think he had to whoa up hard there. You could even visibly, you can just, what is the word I'm looking for? You could hear with your ears that he was actually starting to whoa up more than usual in that corner, so not quite sure what the reason was there. Maybe he just messed up his entry for the first time in quite a few laps, but well, for whatever reason, he dropped back a little bit there, but he's starting to make up ground again. I think Foligno is quicker in corner 1 and 2 than he is in 3 and 4, whereas I think Krobach and Paxa may have a little bit of an advantage in that category. The G corners are very slightly different. Of course, one you're taking the corner entry off the tri-oval, whereas on one you're exiting out onto it. So they are modestly different, and they're kind of different the way you approach them. So drivers can be better at one than the other. There would be precedent for that. But Krobach still trying to defend from Paxa, now under a tenth to Paxa behind him. So Paxa is sitting right behind and still not making passes. I know in times like this where they get really close, it might sound weird that I'm not doing play-by-play, but like Logan has just kind of sat in that exact same spot for a number of laps now. No doubt, I would assume, for a strategy, but it just means that the confidence that he's not going to make the move means I can kind of focus on other things. But sitting in the lap 106 of 175. That's, I believe, 70 total laps to go. So, well, we're about maybe 3/5 of the way down our race tonight, or somewhere in that vicinity. So, luckily, it won't be anywhere near as long of an oval race as Talladega was. We only had 5 cautions, which is quite a few for the beginning of an oval race. But now, since then, we've had a very long green flag stop. Michael Krobach's internet kind of flashes in and out again. So, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. He did not have the ability to disappear his car, as cool as that would be, but iRacing being a professional simulator, I don't think that's a feature they would consider adding anytime soon. So Michael flashes back in. Hopefully he's not having ping issues. I know it can be very annoying for certain drivers to have guys flashing in and out on their screen. That makes it very difficult to pass them, I will say, which I guess in a way makes it better to defend. But I would by certainly no means consider it a strategy to have a low frame rate. As somebody who used to run iRacing on a very crappy laptop can tell you, it can be brutal to have a frame rate anywhere below 30. So that's one thing to mention, is that technologically everybody's running a different setup aside from wheels. Actually, we're going to go to a caution this time by. But Jordan West, flipping over and over. I feel like whenever we get a huge crash with several flips over and over, it's always Jordan West. And the poor guy, like, from his screen, he must just He must just have headaches after his car, because it seems like whenever his car gets in an incident, it just decides it's going to do as many flips as possible. But I think involved in that as well is one of the Diabolique Motorsports cars. That is Manuel Guerra on the inside of the apron there, who has visible damage, missing a nose cone and a wing. So we would go to a replay there and see exactly what did just happen to Manuel and Jordan. Well, it would appear upon review that this incident started a little bit before that corner in which Jordan West got involved at all. Looks like prior to that, Manuel Guerra you see coming out of corner 4 here onto the tri-oval. I think he makes contact with the high wall. Already has steering damage there, which sends him across the entire tri-oval grass. Trying to keep it on the track. He washes up a little bit right into Jordan West, makes huge contact. But again, just watch West's car bouncing over and over, outside wall, flip, does an entire pirouette back onto the apron there. Just rough luck there for Jordan West. Just wrong place, wrong time as Guerra tried to gather the car up. So I think Guerra would make it back to pit road. Trying to find West on track. Oh, as he drives around the pace car there. So has yet to pit. I would assume he will this time by, unless he was just coming in too quick and past the pace car. But Manuel Guerra is currently sitting in the pits. I assume he would have an extra quick repair, because I can't think of anybody who is left in the race who's been in more than one incident that required a quick repair. So hopefully he's able to return to track. But quickly, we're going to go to another side-by-side break as we head back to our leader, Michael Krobach. We're going to get a visual on him, and we're going to head to a side-by-side for the third time tonight for our sixth caution of the night at Charlotte Motor Speedway for round 3 of the 2020 Karts and Computers Racing Series Season 2.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we're back to the action here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, or should I say maybe not action, as we are currently on a caution pacing break. Important to see here who decides to come down pit road. As I mentioned a moment ago, it looked like Krobach and Paxa were getting to the end of their runs there in the lead of the field. So I would imagine we're going to throw up the pit strategy graphic one more time just to show exactly how many laps they've been on tires, or on fuel, I should say. 37, which is actually not the longest run any of those drivers up front have done in this race. So I would imagine they're going to come down pit road this time by. No reason why you wouldn't. I mean, you're not going to lose a lap because only 5 cars on the lead lap at this point, and I'd imagine if one of them pits, probably all of them will pit. So I think Michael will decide exactly who does come down pit road here. Is he going to head onto the apron to make the run down pit road? He's waiting if he is. No, he's decided against it, which I think is a pretty interesting move. Pit road would have been open that time by, so I guess decides against it. I was checking the chat quickly during that break. Let's just look elsewhere. Oh, David Pax asks, do I have a quick repair graphic? Unfortunately, I do not. I would really like to have one because it would much better kind of tell the story of strategy going forward in the race. But unfortunately, iRacing, the program that I use to put up all the graphics doesn't have a way to track things like that. So quick repairs are kind of a thing in the background that only iRacing has access to. They don't output them anywhere in like a results screen on the iRacing simulator. So unfortunately, I can't personally keep track of other drivers, and I certainly can't put them up as I would like to. So the best I can do is something that I will put up now. But I can put up, I can do pit stops, which kind of gives a decent idea. But I mean, everybody's been in there 3 or 4 times. That wouldn't specifically indicate who has been in there for what or who's used how many quick repairs. I can do off tracks and show you how many incidents everybody has, but that wouldn't tell the whole story either. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm not quite sure if there's a way to do it. Some programs have different abilities. So, oh, actually, I should mention all drivers have come into the pits now. This is the most recent lap everybody pitted, so 109 for all of the top 6, and 8th, ninth, and 10th, respectively. Josh Gallagher in the 7th position decided not to pit there, so it would appear that he is the only driver left out on, I would say, old tires, but they're only about 15 laps old at this point, so we'll see if the lights in the pace car head off this time as they cross the start-finish line. And they will. So we're going to go green this time by with Michael Krobach, or next time by, I should say, with Michael Krobach being your current race leader. I've had the car numbers up for a little while, so I'm just going to pull them down for now so we can thin out the timing tower a little bit. Actually, I'm going to pull down the track map as well. At the beginning of runs, it's always just a little bit easier to have only the bare necessities displayed. That way we can see the racing action, taking up as much of the screen as possible. But I am probably going to do a little bit of a crank it up section, I guess. I know NASCAR kind of does these on occasion, but at the start of some restarts, I like to just let the car noise do the work and do what I naturally used to do in my beginnings trying to produce, is just doing camera angles for races and presenting that way. So we'll do a few laps where it's just the camera angles and just the sounds of the vehicles. So turn up whatever display you're showing the race on, provided nobody else around you is asleep, because like, maybe don't play loud races next to people when people are trying to sleep this late at night. But if you have the volume, you want to turn it up a little bit here, and we'll kind of do a crank it up when Michael Krobach takes the field back to green for the 7th time in tonight's race, with Logan Paxer, Rich Foligno, Devin Crosby, and Andrew Bedrosian following in behind him. Getting ready here, the pace car waiting to go down into pit road. It will this time by. Michael Krobach gets on the gas pedal. Green flag for the 7th time today at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Well, in an attempt to get a few laps of green flag action that I could show in a variety of camera angles, we've unfortunately had a very immediate caution here. Throw to a replay and see exactly what happened. I think it was Manuel Guerra that was the unfortunate, well, I guess not beneficiary, whatever the opposite of a beneficiary was of that specific incident. So go to a replay and see exactly what did just happen there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, an interesting change of pace. I actually don't know why that caution came out. I looked around and I couldn't see any cars notably off the pace. You see Jordan West there in the background that's running off kilter from the other cars on track, but that's just because he's getting the lap back for the lucky dog. So unfortunately, I'm honestly not sure why that caution did come out. Again, we don't do competition yellows here at ovals, so sorry, I honestly can't tell you exactly why that did happen. If only I could. So maybe after the race, if one of the drivers involved finishes in the top three, we'll hear about it. But yeah, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea why that did happen. Just looking at the chat. Actually, sorry, I see Justin Luke there asking if he wants to join in. I mean, yeah, if you want to hop in the Discord, Justin, I'd be more than happy to have you stop by and maybe co-commentate the rest of the race. If you're still in the simulator, that'd be 1,000 times easier. So, yep, the option's open if you want to hop in Discord and maybe co-commentate with me for the rest of the race. But for the time being, Logan Paxa is your race leader once again. We kind of headed to the onboard section there for a little bit. You saw the onboard from Michael Krobach trying to defend from Logan Paxa, but wouldn't last too long. I think Logan was able to make the pass going into corner 3, as we see a few cars head into the pits this time. Josh Gallagher, Logan Ferguson, and John Guerra, the 3 cars doing so. But yeah, so it looked like Logan was just able to make a pretty generally uncontested pass. It was a nice one. I think he headed under the inside and getting the kind of rear camera angle from Michael for a little bit there that saw you, or that saw Logan just shoot down to the inside. So, well, overall, it's been a good race from Mr. Paxa. I think this is the most competitive I've seen him in an entire oval race put together. I mean, normally it's a case of Logan has a few front run periods throughout the race where, whether it be because he's on a different fuel strategy or whatever, or he's pitted a lot longer ago than another driver, and he runs a number of laps in the lead like that. But I mean, Michael's on an even pit strategy with Logan at this point in the race. So with only 55 laps to go, and you see Logan Paxa in the lead, Michael may be the guy with all the experience, and generally is the guy I would consider the master of oval racing in our series. But you never know. I mean, Logan's competitive, and he's a guy that I would imagine is very much in a position to win this thing if he's just able to stay up front and make the defensive moves he needs to. And he's been doing it all night, so I'd by no means be surprised if he were able to make it work. So, well, it looks like in the chat there that Justin Lewick is on board with the idea of him co-commentating. So we'll see if he hops in the booth here in a moment. And if he does, then it'd be the first time we've ever had 2 commentators for a race like this. So this will be kind of thrown together. So hopefully we can get some level of order going. But, well, just checking on driver positions around the track. Again, as I mentioned, only 6 drivers left on the lead lap now. The closest driver to getting back on the lead lap is currently Josh Gallagher, who sits a lap down. If he's able to pass his way up through the field and maybe get that lap back under green, it'd be quite impressive. But if he waits for another caution, gets the lucky dog again in the final 54 laps of our race, which I'd imagine is slightly more reasonable and more common, then that is certainly a possibility. Elsewhere in the field, Marshall Crocker Sr. is sitting in 8th position. Marco Felice still in 9th. Logan Ferguson is in 10th, but he is still in the pits. I'm wondering if he was the source of that incident. Again, I couldn't find it on tape when I was going back and checking the track. I checked every single driver for the lap that the caution came out, so I would be surprised if that were the case. But after that, John Guerra is the final driver left on track after him. 13 laps down is Mr. Guerra. Manuel Guerra, Justin Lewick, who is currently in talks to still be a part of the broadcast, just not as a driver, headed out due to technical issues in 13th position on lap, doing the math here, 76? 66? 66. There we go. But yes, in lap 66, Justin headed out with technical issues, and Max Preston, his teammate, also, I think, something very similar. Because I'd imagine he didn't use both of his quick repairs before he headed out, so not sure what happened there to Mr. Max Preston. Overall, MJ Motorsports, both drivers heading out early. It's not going to be great for points, but again, with drop races, you never know. If you're able to make a comeback, then get a good few finishing positions. Well, you never know. It's happened before. I mean, Michael made the championship last season in the individual category, a lot closer than it looked like it might have been. Otherwise, if he hadn't rattled off so many successful race victories in a row. So you never know. I mean, if they're able to rebound, I know they're 2 very talented guys of Justin and Max, so you never know. I'd imagine they are by no means done in the championship points this season, at least not done contending for at least a top 3 spot. Again, I never really went over our team standings at the moment, but I will update you guys on those after the race. So for the time being, we got pretty good viewership actually as well. So thank you everybody for tuning in. I know often with the race being as, at least tonight, as exciting as it is, sometimes I don't get the chance to give a shout out or a hello to all of our new viewers. But well, for the time being, I'm Marshall Crocker Jr. I am commentating the Karts to Computers Racing Series. Thanks for stopping by, and hopefully we can have a good finish for all of you guys tonight in the final 53 laps of our race. Logan Paxa will head to the green for the 3rd time in tonight's race. He's been a pretty consistent green flag leader all day, but he's had some pretty early jumps on the pace car. So the pace car will head in this time by. Take the hard left onto pit road. Logan is going to check the field up a little bit now. He's going to go to green. Green flag for the 8th time in tonight's race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Heading back to green does Mr. Paxa. He is going to pull into corner 1 with a pretty good jump on Michael Krobach behind, but Rich Foligno, the other LPM Blue teammate of Mr. Krobach, as we come out of corner 2, actually might have a pretty good run there on Krobach. I don't think Michael's going to be able to get to the inside of Logan Paxa for the time being, but I thought Foligno might think about a move underneath Michael if he was able to, but for the time being just isn't quite able to get up there to him. Speaking of side-by-side, though, Logan Paxa and Michael Krobach are going to be side-by-side coming into corner 1 this time by. Michael didn't quite clear the rear right of Logan Paxa, so he'll need to make a move on the backstretch here if he wants to. He's right behind him. We're going to go to our chopper camera once again. Michael Krobach is going to head up to the top side. Again, just didn't quite get the traction on corner entry that he might have liked to, but no doubt if he makes corners like that over and over, Michael is going to conserve tires at a better rate than Logan Paxa is. So as we come to 50 laps to go in tonight's race, definitely something to consider because, again, as I talked about earlier with long-term tire conservation, Michael is a master at it, and he's going to head to the outside this time. He's got momentum, so if he's able to make the corner entry good and he's able to clear him on exit, then he might make the pass for first, but Logan's going to defend that inside line, didn't give up any room at all. He must have put the tires through a ringer there. Andrew Bedrosian behind, didn't even notice him. He has now made the move on Foligno for 3rd, so he has 2 podiums, both 3rds so far this season. So this would be his 3rd third of our season. Up ahead, another pass attempt by Michael Krobach, but now Rich Foligno is going to think about a pass to the inside of Bedrosian. Thinks better of it, decides against it, but Devin Crosby behind there in the 5th position. Don't count him out quite yet. He's sitting right behind Rich Foligno, another Ladpeta Motorsports guy. Actually, 4 Ladpeta Motorsports cars in Logan Paxa, which is kind of, if I were to do a summary of the battles in this race, and even kind of last race so far this season, it would be Logan Paxa versus all of Ladpeta Motorsports, because that's kind of how it seems in times like this. But Devin trying to make the move on Rich for 4th. Rich trying to do the same on Andrew for 3rd, but the battle for the lead again, Logan Paxa and Michael Krobach. It feels like all day today they've just been a 2-horse race for the lead. And justifiably so. They have been 2 absolute forces in our series all year. So Michael going to head to the outside again. Again, Logan, the big storyline here, Logan looking for his first oval race in the Karts to Computers series. He's won, I think, 8 overall road courses, but never quite an oval. Jordan West way off the pace, wondering what the case is here. We're just about to go by him on the track map, as you see, but is he on the apron or... No, he's on the outside of the track. Losing positions one by one. Not sure what's happening to him. Gallagher makes the pass on him, but Krobach makes the pass on Paxa. I'm amazed that he made the pass there. I haven't seen him get that good of a run off of 2 all race, but makes it work. Krobach will become your new race leader once again, but Paxa is by no means going to give up. He was kind of in the groove when it came to defense, so if he can get that position back and start defending almost immediately again, that'd probably be most beneficial for him. Gonna head all the way to the inside. Didn't quite make the pass there, but he'll have a good run down the backstretch. Let's go maybe on the chase cam on board with Logan, sorry, Michael, I should say. He's gonna head to the inside here, makes the pass uncontested. Krobach is just gonna give him that spot, but we're gonna head through the tri-oval. Michael's got a huge run off of 4. He might even make the pass back almost immediately. We're coming back into 1. They're going to go side by side. Logan's still got the inside line, but if he washes up a little bit on old tires, that might give him the run that Michael needs to make the pass back again. Michael currently tracking as your leader, but he's not able to clear Paxa into 3 that time. Andrew Bedrosian, important to mention right behind as Logan makes the pass again, isn't able to clear him, but going to go side by side over the line again will Paxa and Krobach, but Bedrosian behind. Don't count him or Foligno out either. A battle starting to form there, actually, but Bedrosian's able to slide in ahead. What a battle we're getting late in this race with only 43 to go. 42 next time by, but Paxa to the inside once again. Going to go side by side into 3 once again. I'm amazed that these 2 are consistent as they are as in when it comes to going side by side through corners like these, because such a strong banking at Sherwood, it can be hard to get the cars oriented to not become at risk of making contact with each other. So Well, they are staying nice and clean so far, and the battle rages on. Behind, it's Bedrosian, Foligno, and Crosby all in a line, but Michael may be able to clear him this time by. He does, so Michael takes the confident lead back to tonight's race, makes the pass on Logan Paxa, and now he will move forward. He is moving with some speed right now. Like, he pulled away by almost 2.5 tenths on Logan almost immediately there, so I'm not sure if Logan just messed up an entry or an exit to a corner there, but well, now that puts Bedrosian at risk of taking that spot from him for second, but now Bedrosian's got Foligno right behind him battling for third. Almost immediately was Foligno able to catch up there once, I guess, Bedrosian saw in front Paxa and Krobach getting that incident. Probably tried to assess his options, maybe missed a corner entry, and now here Rich Foligno is right on the bumper of his Lead Pedal Motorsports, again, technically teammate, but not official teammates as they are from different colored Team Lead Pedal affiliates, I should say. So they're still trying to make a move on Bedrosian work. I mean, they're going almost even keel through every single corner so far. So again, if they kind of have an unwritten agreement to kind of hold off on making passes towards the end of the race, maybe all the Lead Pedal guys do, that could be what we're seeing happening. Because again, I would have thought Rich with a spot like that would get more momentum in order to make a pass on Andrew Bedrosian, but again, maybe not. Logan's starting to catch up to Michael once again. Got about a tenth that time by. I'd throw it to the lap time graphic, but really with how the draft works here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, it would be virtually non-information. It's not exactly the most informative thing I can show you, but for the time again, we come around corner 2 for the 137th time of tonight's race, and in the process, Logan gets a great run down the backstretch, maybe thinking about a pass here in 3, but doesn't quite get the run to make it work. Michael will take off at a 4 once again. Trying to think long term. I mean, they came in on lap 109 most recently, so it's been a surprisingly long run once again. We're making some good green flag stints late in this race. But really, if you think about it, I mean, if they got to pit one more time in this race, I would assume, yeah, they can make it on one stop because they've gone about 40 earlier in the race. So the next pit stop would be their final of the race. You got to wonder if they think we can go green all the way to the end of tonight's race, would they take it in the more opportune time, big picture speaking, where you wouldn't necessarily go to the very end of your run and then only have 20 laps left on tires at the end, which is the strategy you'd go with if you think we're going to get another caution and you're preparing for maybe a green-white checkered or kind of a dash to the finish with very few laps to go. Or if you were to come in as early as possible, get off your old tires when you can, and maybe just split the run in two. It'll be interesting. I think that was kind of how our practice race yesterday came down to, as a few drivers came in for a one-stopper and 2 drivers came in for a 2-stopper on a 70-lap run, which actually is almost the exact number of laps it'll have been since the last caution when we get to the end of tonight's race. So kind of comes down to pit strategy a little bit, unless Logan is just going to mimic when Michael comes in and thinks he can win this race just purely on pace alone, which is definitely the more exciting of the 2 finishes, or the 2 options for race finishes. This is definitely what I'd hope for, because I think we've had some good oval battles, but none quite at the end of a race as we've seen so far in our series. So Justin Luke is in the booth with me here. Not quite sure if he can hear me.
Hi, Marshall. Yeah, I just wanted to give you your time to speak. I didn't want to just barge in here. Obviously, there's no physical door I can knock on before I walk in.
No, but it's a pleasure to have you. It's the first time I've had a co-commentator in our series so far. So, well, I don't know if you're still in the simulator and you're watching the battle here, but pretty good battle between Michael Krobach and your good buddy Logan Paxa there for the lead. Again, Logan has yet to win an oval race here in our series yet, at least an official one, and Michael certainly has plenty. So it's a good battle, but I'll just quickly ask you, because we kind of got a lull in the action for a second. What exactly sent you out to the race there on your end?
So I had a bit of a combination of issues, but for the most part, it was more VR issues. So before I had well, I guess I'll start at the beginning. So with the night race, I find that it's a little bit more taxing on a lot of the guys' simulators. And for me personally, I use virtual reality. And with that, your vision gets very wavy once you start to drop frame rates. So I was struggling with that a little bit for a bit of the race. And then, closer to the time I was actually taken out, I had a catastrophic failure, which essentially shut down all my audio. So I couldn't hear my teammate, I couldn't hear how the car was reacting, and I was just kind of stuck there in this weird limbo where I didn't fully, it looks like, I thought there was going to be a pass there. I wasn't fully sure. Oh, there is a pass. Would you like to take over, Marshall?
I can if you want. Yeah, Logan's heading underneath Michael coming out of 2, but looks like Michael might be able to clear him again onto the backstretch. Maybe not quite this time by. He keeps thinking about it. This is by far the most aggressive Logan's been on this stint, but I just lost footage from... there we go. Logan's came back on my screen, but kind of popping in and out now. Logan, I think, is going to head to the inside on the tri-oval here into 1. This is by far the most aggressive Logan's been on this stint. I think he was thinking about a long-term strategy there for a few laps, trying to think about his tires to the end, but now he's getting aggressive, makes the move on Krobach, so Logan Paxton will take over the lead of the race once again. Krobach right behind, but no doubt, I think long-term and in longer stints, Krobach's just had the pace towards the end that Paxa hasn't quite been able to replicate, so you got to wonder with those old tires as we come to a final pit stop of the race. Is this the time for Michael to make another move? But again, you know, you got Andrew Bedrosian and Devin Crosby, sorry, Rich Foligno, I should say, there in that battle for the top 4. Only about 2.5 tenths separating the top 4 drivers there. Bedrosian's going to head to the inside on Krobach now. Kind of gets a piece of the apron there, so almost sends him up into Krobach, but we'll slot back into the line again. I'm more than happy to let you do some commentating as well there, Justin, if you want to do the play-by-play.
No, it's all right. I'm just realizing now that it looks like the YouTube stream is a tiny bit behind, and I wasn't able to hop on the simulator and have that running. So it seems like you have a bit of a better view on what's going on right now, unless I can get my stuff back up and running.
Yeah, the YouTube is usually about maybe 6 or 7 seconds on a delay. So, it's still a pleasure to have you. If maybe I can throw to you for some driver tidbits, get into the mind of an iRacer. Once we get maybe a bit of a lull, as I said, in the action, because. For the time being, we still have about, on my screen, only 3 tenths separating the top 3. I think now it'll be about 4 tenths in the top 4. But
and as you can see, everybody's really just fighting for position. I mean, when you're that close, everybody's behind in draft, and even a tiny mistake, you're still able to get back there and be able to get the run to either make a move on the person ahead or just be able to stay with the people you're competing with.
Exactly. At this point, I mean, 25 laps to go. I know we will probably need one more pit stop for the drivers left on track, but again, when it comes to coming into the pits, you want to have as much track position as you can on entrance as you can, because some drivers I know have better pit entrances and exits than others, so their in and out laps can be maybe 2 or 3 seconds quicker or 2 or 3 seconds slower. So I know certain guys, if they're more or less confident, will want track position more than others. We see Bedrosian and Foligno actually starting to back off a little bit. Foligno's going to head to the inside there for a pass for 3rd. Logan still has yet to have a move from Michael in these last few laps, but Bedrosian's able to defend for 3rd. So, but yeah, as I was mentioning, I mean, it'll kind of come down to pit entry and exit here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the final battle of the race, because I'd imagine, at least as for how we're going right now, we're not going to see one more caution left in the race. So if that were the case, we need to see these guys come in for one more green flag pit stop. And I know Michael, he practices all the time his pit in and out exits, especially at races like this with such high banking. But I don't know about you, Justin, but in your time in practice, how did you find the entry into pit road off of the apron to be?
Well, I found it was definitely very challenging, and I was speaking to a couple of the drivers before the race as well, and you just find with the curving, it's very hard to hit your braking points and be able to consistently slow down without having the car, shift one way or the other. So it definitely takes a lot of practice, and I find I was almost doing as much practicing my entries and exits than I was actually practicing the laps.
Right, and I mean, fairly enough for sure, because I'd say you'd agree. It's probably not one of the more difficult ovals we've ever run in our series, but it's one that can be a little bit tricky, especially with how the banking works. And one thing to mention is I know guys that I was seeing plenty of guys just completely losing the back end coming into pit road. Same with Talladega earlier this year, but guys will kind of need to weigh out the pros and cons and like assess the risk of coming in faster versus slower, because you can get all excited and want to come in as fast as you can to try to pull away from the guy behind you, but we see plenty of incidents with guys just getting a little too overzealous coming in, and if that were to be the case and you were to spin around through a caution, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing, because I guess you'd stay on the lead lap, but any track position you can get right now can be beneficial. As we speaking of track position, Logan's actually broken about 4 tenths on my screen away from Michael at the time, so he is starting to pull away a little bit. It's good to see, but with 20 laps to go, I mean, Michael, again, I'm wondering if they think they can make it on fuel and tires, because I would have personally, with only 20 laps left, I don't know if they're thinking about the possibility of a caution and then a late race battle, but you'd think you'd come in right now if you weren't anticipating one more caution. You can just split your run in half, because the longer you go on old tires and the more track position you lose, well, the less time you're going to have on newer tires later in the race. Actually, Logan has to make a nice move there on one of the Diabolique Motorsports cars there. That was John Guerra. But lap traffic, a thing that I would have thought would be important in tonight's race, but everybody seems to kind of be within about a straightaway of each other. So really,
yeah, for sure. The one thing I would mention as a driver is you will see once the two. I mean, if it's Paxa and Krobach, if they're able to get a bit of a gap to third and fourth there, you will see them start to almost conserve both fuel and tires to really be able to push to the end of the race. Because once they have a gap, you know, even though they're not on the same team, they'll be thinking long term. They'll be thinking, what's the best way for both of us to get ahead, so that when it comes down to a battle for the lead, we both have a good, starting position.
Right, and I'm wondering, speaking of that very point, I'm wondering if Logan is thinking that same way, because he's dropped off about 3/10 that last time by. I wonder if he's trying to make a fuel number and he was going a little bit too quick that time, because he didn't seem to mess up his entries. It just looked like he was, whether maybe it was the lap car of John Guerra as well that threw him off, but it looked like he just wasn't trying to come in as quick as he was before. I actually have the pit graphic up on my screen, but showing that it's been 50 laps since any of the top four have pitted. They all pitted on the exact same lap, so you'd think it would just, it would kind of come down to how they've been able to conserve thus far, and if they need to come in one more time, then sooner, I would say, is better when it comes to trying to have the best tires for the end of tonight's race.
Oh, for sure. And I think one thing you might actually end up seeing is if some of the drivers, let's say Logan may push his pit stop a little bit farther than one of the other drivers, you might see drivers start to run out of fuel and be forced to make that pit stop. Where at that point really comes down to if you're able to conserve or if you're driving the car a little bit harder. Which obviously, if you're driving harder, you have a little bit more pace out there. But then you kind of have to weigh your pros and cons there.
Right, and speaking of driving harder, Rich Foligno is going to make the pass on Andrew Bedrosian. I think he's going to make one more on Michael as well. He's going to clear him through the tri-oval, actually, and so will Andrew. So Andrew passes Michael. I'm wondering if Michael's running out of fuel, because he didn't mess up his exit. He's just dropped back about 5/10 in that one straightaway, and I'm like, I don't know exactly what inspired that. So now Rich will have to defend from Andrew, but important thing to mention, you talk about how the different different strategies, different strategies between the top four are currently, and how hard they're running it into corners and how hard they're pushing their tires and stuff. But if you think about it, I mean, Logan and Michael were jumping back and forth for the lead. They were running quite a few laps individually each on just nobody in front of them. No draft to stay in. They were just running purely on their own power. And that can't really be said for Andrew Bedrosian, who was running in third for quite a while there and was just in the draft to Michael, never fell out of it, but never really seemed to try to get closer. So if there was a guy I think on fuel is probably pretty good, I'd imagine if he was taking his entries proper with a good slipstream and backing off a little bit and letting the slipstream catch him up on the straightaway, I think he would be a guy that might have a lap or two more than everybody else. But same with Rich Foligno as well, who kind of had a similar situation. Rich is going to head to the inside of Logan. Well, he's going to make the pass entirely, so I thought Rich was going to wait as well, but Rich got tired of waiting. He'll make the pass on Logan. I kind of counted him out there at the back of the line for a second. I thought he was going to have to wait for a caution, but he won our practice race yesterday, and he will move to the front. Another guy who has never won a race in our series, let alone at an oval, so big move there on Logan. So as we come to that'll be 10 laps to go next time by. Justin, are you thinking we see another caution if they're racing like this, or do you think we're just watching the battle for the win here?
I mean, I think as the race goes on and gets closer and closer to the end, you're going to see drivers get even more impatient and try to make moves that otherwise, if it was a long race ahead of them, they might not make. And I think just by having that play as a factor, I think you'll see the potential for cautions definitely raise. But in terms of the drivers at the front, all of them do want to make it to the end, so you might still see them, make smart decisions, but at the same time be a little bit less cautious as they may have been, say, lap 50 or even at lap 100.
Absolutely, and I think the thing to take into account as well is that now with 8 laps to go, coming right to the end of this thing. But if we were to see a caution, I mean, nobody I would say would probably come into the pits with only 5 guys left on the lead lap. And if one were to, well, that would be much more of a strategy than this is right now. But in our practice race last night, we ended in an almost identical situation. Rich was leading ahead of me on the very last lap of the race. Michael comes into the pits this time by. So that's making... Devin did as well. So they all pitted on the same lap. I don't think you can get 7 laps out of just good fuel conservation here at Charlotte. I think that's a little bit too much. So I would anticipate Rich is probably coming in this lap, unless he's somehow miraculously been able to conserve fuel like a madman. I certainly don't think Logan could have to the same amount, because he was at the lead of that field for so long. that he wasn't in the draft nearly as long as Rich was. So you got to think, okay, well, there's no way he could have conserved fuel enough, but he's still out. He's not pitting. So Andrew as well. He's dropped back way off, but he is not pitted yet. So
One thing that could happen.
He's going to head to the infield as well.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, just for a second. Yeah, Logan's going to head into the pits as well. So the only two drivers left on track are Andrew Bedrosian and Rich Foligno. So as I predicted, the two guys that were getting good drafts there on the straightaways through that last stint, they are the only two left out on track. So sorry, I'll throw it to you though, Justin.
Well, I was just going to say, another thing that you might keep in mind is it's very easy for cars, especially when you're in draft, to catch a little bit of understeer and slide up into the wall. And I think you may have actually seen that with one of the drivers throughout the race, as it's very easy to just get a tiny bit of damage, and then you're losing not seconds, but you're losing up to 0.5 every single lap. And at that point, you'll start to see drivers dropping back just from small bits of damage that would otherwise be unnoticeable.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely. And it's a thing that I know some guys intentionally don't fix in an attempt to save their quick repairs, which at this point in the race, they'd definitely be regretting if they had made that decision. But really, this is going to come down to pit strategy. And important to note, so Bedrosian came in as well. We'll see where he factors in on the track map. But I'm looking at Josh Gallagher, who has only run 52 laps in the stint. He moves up to second. If, again, Foligno pitted on the same lap as all these guys that are pitting, so he's still out. Let's see if he doesn't come into the pits this... Oh, he will. He pulls off the apron. So where is Josh on track? Josh is only a lap down. He leads in second. If he takes the position here... He's only run 52 laps. He's going to win this thing if nobody's able to catch him, which would he wasn't even factoring into my mind here. He'll pass Foligno once, but Josh has like half a lap on Andrew behind him. So with only 2 laps to go, there's nothing preventing him unless Foligno short pits and gets out ahead of him. So you see Foligno. Oh, he had an issue getting into his pit box as well. So all the top 5 will get back onto the lead lap. But yeah, you see Gallagher in the track map. He's about to come around and take the lead here. So Foligno's pulling out of his box. Gallagher just crossed the line. Josh Gallagher is, unless something insane were to happen, maybe trying to pass Marco Felice here for the win, he's gonna win this race, get his second oval race in our series. And actually, we've only run 2 official IndyCar oval races, and he won the other one to start off our season last year at Indy. So 2 to go this time by with Josh is about to win this thing, and Logan moved up to second. Andrew behind him, Devin after that, and Rich Foligno after that. I don't know where Michael went. Michael's dropped back down 2 laps, and he's all the way to 8th. So I guess Marco Felice and my dad actually just pitted this time by, but I guess they think they can make it on fuel. And to go from, 2nd to 8th in 3 laps would be brutal for Michael Krobach. But yeah, Josh is going to come around one more time, and white flag. I don't think he's going to run out of fuel. I think he's about to win this thing with 1 more to go. But, wow.
Well, it'd be a fantastic drive from him. I mean, I remember... Back when I was in the race, I believe I ran one restart from first, and Josh was really fighting hard just to get by, so he was able to get that lap back. And I mean, it was a beautiful drive from him to be able to make it back from, being a lap behind, maybe even 2 laps behind, to be able to come and take that win.
Speaking of the win, he just ran out of fuel. Logan's going to win this thing. Oh my goodness. Logan wins the race. What in the world just happened? He pulled off the backstretch on the... onto the apron. I was wondering what was happening. I was wondering if he was just trying to conserve, but he actually ran out. Logan just won his first oval race here in our series. Wow. Right as I was counting everybody else out, he manages to come across the line with the win. Devin Crosby gets on the podium out of nowhere. He's doing... he just pulled a donut straight into Rich Foligno there. Wow. Oh, man. What was any of that? Oh, my God.
Well, I mean, a big thing that you see, especially at races like this, is you really want to conserve fuel. And, I mean, like you saw right there, sometimes it works and sometimes it definitely backfires.
Absolutely. And, I mean, the 62 laps Logan went on fuel there. Absolute props to him. Foligno, I think, went 64. But, yeah, I mean, Josh only had 54 laps, I think, on fuel. I think he was 10 short of everybody else. So I'm amazed that he ran out that quickly, and I think just gives you... even more appreciation for just how much they were conserving. But Logan's going to win this thing, and wow, I mean, he just did, gets his first oval win of the entire series, let alone this season, and his second win of the season that I think will put him in the lead in the points, with Michael finishing all the way down in 8th there. So, well, Justin, overall, how would you kind of recap this race from your perspective and what we saw there with Logan winning this thing on fuel conservation?
Well, I mean, one thing that I have noticed, especially racing with Logan Paxa, is he has been phenomenal on fuel. I mean, for me, it really think back to season one when we were racing here at Charlotte, but at the Roval in the Skip Barbers. I mean, you saw everybody on track was almost sure that he was going to run out of fuel and not be able to make the end. And because of his fantastic conservation strategies and also the help from his team around him, he's able to carry his car all the way to the end without actually running out. And I think you see that here today, not all the way to the end, but being able to really push the limits of how long he could drive on that tank of fuel.
He most certainly did, and he comes across with the win here. And Justin, it's been a pleasure to have you. It's kind of cool to have somebody else in the booth for once. And I'm not sure if you wanted to maybe do an interview if you were going to sign off, but it's been a pleasure to have you. We're just going to go through the final race results, and I will leave it up to you.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I mean, as soon as I was out, I thought it would be a good idea. I mean, if I could, just to give you some company. I know you get bored sometimes here, or not bored, but feeling a little bit lonely up here in the commentary booth. So I thought if I had the opportunity, I'd come and stop by and say hi. Hopefully everybody in the chat has enjoyed having a secondary commentator. I know I wasn't able to do as fantastic a job as you normally do, Marshall, but yeah, I'm just happy to be here. And I think honestly, with the interviews at the end, you do a great job. So I'll definitely be happy to leave it to you.
Oh, well, thanks, man, Justin. And it's been a pleasure to have you again. Yeah, you're right. It can be tough to find some talking points later in a race, but it was an exciting one for sure, and it was good to have a different perspective for once. So, I mean, if you ever want to do an in-car interview, or if for whatever reason you can't make a race, but you want to slide in on commentary once in a while, it'd be a pleasure to have you. So, thanks for coming out. Again, I mean, 13th position tonight, unfortunately with your technical issues, but I'd imagine if you're able to make it out to our Motorsport race on Sunday, I would by no doubt be surprised if I was talking to you in the interview booth yourself. So thanks for coming out again, man, and I'll talk to you after the race. But yeah, thanks again for slotting in and helping out.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And yeah, it's been a fantastic time being able to join in here. And if I have the opportunity in the future, if either I'm not racing or whatever the situation may be, I'd love to stop by again and hopefully give my opinion on some things I see out there for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to have you. So again, thanks for coming out, man.
All right. Thank you very much, Marshall. Good luck with your interviews.
Well, with that, again, it was kind of a precursor interview. It was good to have a different voice in the booth for once, but well, my goodness, it was quite the exciting finish to the race there. It was tough to try to keep track of everything happening, but I mean, Logan Paxton, we see him in victory lane all the time, but this one I think is a little bit special, and this one sends more of a statement than his usual victories do because, well, he won that thing off of fuel conservation strategy and at an oval, which were kind of the two things that I've talked about before with his fuel last year, kind of I think putting the kibosh on one or two wins, one at Okayama and another one I can't quite remember, but wow, this was just what a statement win for him. He not only comes away with the win off of fuel strategy, but he does it with a great in and out lap in order to beat Indy Bedrosian for first as well. So Logan Paxton is your race winner tonight, gets a second win of the season. This should, this I can almost guarantee will put him first overall in the points with Michael Krobach, your current points leader, finishing 8th. So Logan gets the win here tonight. We will interview him momentarily, but after that, Indy Bedrosian with his 3rd podium of the season. He has just been on a tear when it comes to consistency lately, and he will finish in the 2nd position, only 3 seconds back, actually. I think he was down to 4 seconds behind when they came in for the final fuel stint, but he was able to make it work and was able to come across in 2nd for, as I mentioned, his 3rd podium of the season, his 4th top 5 in his 4 races in our series. So congrats to him. Devin Crosby kind of came out of nowhere. I talked about him very briefly there in the middle of the race, but he was one of those 5 guys in the pack at the end of the race. He fell back there from Flino, Bedrosian, Paxa, and Krobach. So I'd kind of counted him out, but he comes away with a podium and a very close finish with Bedrosian right in front of him, only 4/10 ahead to 2nd. So that could have been a very different finish for him if he was able to get just a few more seconds there at the end. But after that, Rich Foligno and Josh Gallagher, his teammate there for LPM Green, actually, Devin Crosby and Josh Gallagher, the 2 teammates there, both finishing on the lead lap in the top 5. Marco Felice, Marshall Crocker, who I believe might become teammates for the remainder of our race season. If so, they had a very good finish tonight, finishing in 6th and 7th respectively. Again, Michael Krobach falling back to 8th at the end of our race. I don't know exactly what happened. I don't think he would have had an incident there on pit road. It was something I alluded to at the beginning that if you were to come into pit road too hot and lose the back end, that it was a possibility that some guys could go around. But I'd be surprised if that were the case, but it's a possibility. So Well, Michael indeed will finish in the eighth position. Kind of a disappointing finish for him, I'd imagine, after how many laps he led tonight and being our pole sitter and all. But he'll get some bonus points, so that won't hurt his championship position too bad. John Guerra and Jordan West will round out the top 10. After that, Logan Ferguson, teammate of your race winner, Logan Paxa, finishing in 11th position. Minowa Guerra finishing in 12th. Justin Lewick, who was commentating with us for a little bit there, it was a pleasure to have him, finishing in 13th. Again, because of a technical issue. And then his teammate, Max Preston, again, I'm not quite sure why he headed out of the race tonight in 14th and lap 25. Didn't use both his quick repairs, to my understanding, so not quite sure what happened there. But after that, not myself. Well, me and Caleb Campbell, neither of us started this race, but again, not sure why Caleb. He was in the session, but wasn't able to make it into the race. So hopefully he'll be out on Sunday at Moseport with us. But wow, that was quite a finish there. I'm still trying to compose myself and figure out what just happened. In the waiting room, we only have currently one driver in there. I don't see Logan. Oh, he's in the driver's room. So we will get a word from him in a moment. But for the time being, our first interview is with Devin Crosby. If I can get him from the booth, or get him in the booth, I should say. Just a second. Let me just pull down your race results and get your interview up with Devin Crosby. Well, it would appear for the time being, at least, that Devin is not in the booth, or is not in the waiting room here. So, not quite sure what the reasoning is there. Michael is in the waiting room, but unfortunately not Devin. So, we could do an interview with Devin. So I'm getting word that Devin's Discord channel, the chat that we use to do the interviews, isn't working tonight. So, okay. Let me just figure this out here, and I'll try to get something sorted out. Okay, I'm just talking to Michael. We might actually get him to pop in the booth here. I mean, he led so much of the race there and was at the front for nearly all of it. It would be a pretty accurate understanding of the race if we were able to get him in the booth. So we'll see if that is able to happen. Let me just check elsewhere. Just check the chat, see if there's anything I missed. Can we get Michael in the booth? Yeah, I'll see if I can pull him in. So, just talking to him, see if he's available. Sorry, I'm just going to take a brief moment, see if I can pull him in.
Right off.
Sure. Well, it looks like we can get Michael here for the third place interview tonight. Michael Krobach is now in the booth here. He again, important to note, he didn't finish on the podium there, but he led so much of the race there, and he was in the front for nearly all of it. I'm also just curious to note, just to ask what happened there at the end. But first of all, you got me, Michael?
Yes, I do, Marshall. Driver beat himself. That's what happened there. I wanted to make sure that I didn't get any wheel spin, just come off nice and easy off pit road, and I touched the blue line before the track blue cone. So it gave me a 26-second penalty for unsafe pit exit.
Oh, wow. Yeah, in practice, I was finding that they were very, very fickle about the rules there. Wow, that's never the way you want to end it, man. I mean, it was a great performance overall. I mean, you and Logan were having one of the best battles I've seen at an oval on iRacing, let alone in our series. I mean, he had an absolutely great race tonight, but you were giving everything your all. I think you might get the award for most laps led there, but overall, do you just want to kind of touch on Charlotte as a whole, the kind of racing it provides, and then how your race went tonight up until that penalty?
We were really good on the long run. I didn't have a very good short run car, and every time we had a restart, Logan would get by, and I'd kind of let him go and just kind of fall in behind and save the tires. We did make some setup tweaks with the ARB front and rear anti-roll bar. Again, shout out to Devin and Rich for coming up with those adjustments. The car handled great on the long run. We were gone in the middle run, and then the last couple runs, the field kind of got bunched up, and I knew we were right on the edge of both time and fuel window. So I'm not sure if we ran all 175 laps. I think we did, but we were running out of time, so the race was going to be over on time anyway. And we were right on the fuel number, and I didn't think anybody could make it. I thought, and then my teammates said that they thought they could make it, and then they ran out of gas. So everybody came to pit road. I wanted to be the first one on pit road, not take tires, just a little bit of fuel to get to the end. And we were in position to win. I gave the race away. We came out pit road 5 seconds ahead of Logan. This checkered flag would have been ours, and we just threw it away.
Well, it's a shame to hear. I mean, it was a race with so much drama really overall. I mean, at the very beginning, very similar to Watkins, we just had caution after caution after caution. That once we were able to get through that period and onto a green flag run, it kind of threw a few drivers off in terms of how to conserve over a long period of time. So it was notable that certain guys were having such good runs long term on fuel conservation compared to others. I mean, Rich, I think ran 64 laps or something on that last stint, so he came very close to the end. Josh came, I think, 2 corners away from winning the whole thing. He only ran out on the backstretch on the last lap, so it was close. But this is the first time we've had a really good fuel conservation finish in a long time, especially in an oval. Um, but speaking of that, how do you think? Just talk kind of a little bit about the tire wear here at Charlotte. I know it's a track where you can go full out pretty long into the run. I think about 10 or 15 laps, but by the end it can get pretty tough. And so how did that factor into your strategy, trying to make passes on people, trying to defend while also trying to keep your tire conservation in mind?
Yeah, my strategy was just a little wheel input as possible to kind of keep the right sides alive, and like I said, the adjustments that Rich and Devin provided, they saved the tires great in the long run. So we kind of ran up high, 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. We kind of started high and then kind of drove it to the bottom, and I found that really saved the tires. We had even tire wear on the right front and the right rear, which I've rarely seen in the Indycar. So whatever these guys came up with at LPM, the car handled perfect. So shout out to them. I was hoping the race would go long, and it was just a great race all through the field. Like the battles up front, every lap side by side with Logan. Full confidence that he'd run me clean because he's an awesome driver. We can go toe to toe, and I don't even worry that he's gonna crowd me or anything like that. We race hard and clean, and it was great. And I think it would have come down to a good showdown. Driver just has to not screwed up.
Well, I mean, really, small mistakes like that at over 175 laps, they can make all the difference. So it's a shame to hear that happen. But again, I mean, even if I think you're going to lose the championship points lead for the time being. It is a long championship to go, and after this will be your, I think, first non-top five in ages, if you've ever had one here in our series. So when it comes to consistency, you are absolutely dominant at pretty much every track we go to. So just speak about Mossport on Sunday. We come there in the Skip Barber series for the first time in ages. We haven't run a Skip Barber race since Summit Point, second to last race last season. So one of our three Skip Barber races this season. How are you feeling for going back to the Skip Barber at a track like Mossport that I'm sure many of our drivers have experience with?
Yeah, that's a really fun track to hustle the car around. I think we were pretty quick in practice. Paxa was maybe a tenth faster, so maybe a little bit more to gain there. I think it'll be another good race. You can really throw the car through the corners and just race hard, and that tire never falls apart. And so I love the track. I love the rhythm of it in that car. I think it'll be a really fun race to drive, and it should put on a good broadcast too. I'm looking forward to that.
As am I. So, well, it's been a pleasure to have you in the booth talking about the race. Always a very well-spoken guy. So, even if you weren't unfortunately able to finish in the top three tonight, it was a pleasure to have you. You made the racing super exciting all the way through. So, hopefully next time that we can have you in the booth with us for a performance like that. But again, even if it wasn't a top three, I want to give some thanks to your sponsors for a very dominant performance overall.
Yeah, first I got to thank the whole Loud Paddle Motorsports team. We got 5 cars in here right now. Sam McEachern is going to join us at some point to be teammates with Andy there. So really happy to have Andy on board as a teammate. He's done a great job practicing with us and just working together as a team. So shout out to him. Shout out to Josh, Devin, and Rich. Great group of guys to work with week in and week out, strategy and stuff like that. Battles on track, awesome. I got to thank Logan for a great race up front. Hopefully, put on a good show for all the fans watching, and got to thank all the sponsors, of course. HPP Simulation, Clip on that Apex, Thumbs Up, Cancer Down, Fleximation Systems, Ready to Frag, Host Venom, Sim Racing Apps, CJ Automotive, Amsoy Battle Battle, Spotlights Visual Spotter System, and Splash and Go Graphics and graphics, IndyCar graphics there on this car tonight. And tomorrow we're going to go try the 24 hours of Le Mans and see what happens there. I don't have much practice at the track, so I'm running the car towards the end if we have a car left at the end of the 24 hours for me to hop into. If not, then that's all right too. But it'll be fun. Pax is actually driving for us and opening up the first stint, so looking forward to having him on board as an LPM teammate for 24 hours tomorrow.
Awesome. Sounds good. I wish you guys the best of luck with that, as well as Logan making his debut with you guys. And yeah, overall, again, great race tonight, Michael. You made it an exciting time. And again, it's always a pleasure to have you in the booth with us. So have a good rest of your night. Have a good weekend. Have a good Father's Day and everything. And yeah, just have a good rest of your night.
Thanks, Marshall. Thanks for putting on a great show, great league.
Okay, and that brings us to your second interview of the night. Your second place finisher tonight, Andrew Bedrosian. We're able to get him in the booth. This is his third time in a post race interview with us. He's just had an incredible start to the year. We will pull him into the booth now. Hey,
Shotgun's getting pretty good also.
oh, hey, Andrew, it's Marshall in the booth. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
What's
well, sorry to kind of pull you in last second there, but we had to get some stuff figured out with Devin unable to do the interview. But, well, speaking about yourself, I mean, this is the third podium of the season for you. You're coming across the line with the second tonight, best finish you've ever had in our series. It was a crazy chaotic end of the race there. You just kind of want to talk about the fuel mileage there at the end, and did you think you could make it on fuel, and at the last second you changed your mind, or what was kind of your strategy with conservation there at the end?
So basically, with the whole saving gas and everything, like the whole LPM team was trying to figure out who would make it, who wouldn't, who to let by. I know Rich. We let Rich by. I was trying to dial back my fuel number all the way back to 8 to save enough fuel to see if I can make it. I think I was 2 laps short, so I tried to right when I saw Logan going to the pits, I put the number from 8 all the way to first to get the fastest lap possible to beat him around the track and just take gas only, no tires. So, I mean, he took tires, so he got under me. So, I mean, basically, now this is just the strategy, just gas and go.
Yeah, and it seemed to work out for you. You almost got Paxa there at the end, and it was really close between you and Devin at the end. Actually, the fellow Lead Pedal Motorsports driver there. So you two, I think, were separated by 4 tenths at the end of the race. Um, but just
Yeah.
but just kind of walk me through the style of racing here at Charlotte. I mean, you talk about the high bankings that can make it such close quarters racing with guys going side by side on the bankings there. But just kind of talk about the style compared to the race we had earlier this season at Talladega, like your first time in an IndyCar oval race with us in our series. So how was it for you?
It was pretty much complete chaos, to be honest. With Charlotte, just the entry of the corners were rough. Um, Trying to get clean air. Just trying to be patient, not go 3 wide, not spin anybody out. I know I got cut down by Marco for like around half the race, um, and had a hard time passing him back. So I mean, he probably didn't appreciate it, but yeah, like it was just pretty hard, and you have to be really patient. Gas was a big thing to be concentrated on. Tires, it was just really trying to conserve the right front to make sure to keep that preserved and everything so you don't go into the wall. I know Logan and I went wheel to wheel for at least 12 laps in the race, so that was a lot of fun to battle him.
And it was even more fun to watch. Absolutely. I mean, you guys were running close all day. You and Michael were running perfectly in tandem there. It was amazing just how close you guys were able to run in line without making contact over that long run. So, props to you. You did a great job tonight in your first IndyCar oval race in our series. But looking forward to Sunday when we go to the Skip Barber series at Moseport. It'll be your first Skip Barber race with us, and it'll be our first time at Moseport as well. So, how's your confidence level going into that on Sunday?
Probably not. Like, I mean, this was my first night running on Charlotte with an IndyCar, so confidence went way up once I had the setup and everything else. Didn't get too much practice, but heading on into Canada with the Skip Barber, um, very little downforce. The cars will be sliding, elevation changes in the track. Um, It'll pretty much like I'm counting on a lot of people just sliding off the track because it's the new damage model, so the whole wheel hub will come off. Um, so basically, that's just my game plan. Just try to keep my car under control. Hopefully, Michael can help me straighten out driving the skip arbor because I don't drive them too often. So, um, but yeah, basically the game plan is just hopefully stick back, let people wreck each other, and cruise on to the podium finish.
Well, at a difficult road course like Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, never a bad strategy to just wait back and let the race figure itself out, and you to kind of slot in between there and maybe get your as you mentioned, your fourth podium of the season. Go currently undefeated when it comes to top three finishes. So congrats on that. And as we always do at the end of our interviews, is there anybody you want to give a shout out or a thank you to for your second place
Uh,
performance?
yeah, I just want to thank Stamos and Stamos Realtors for sponsoring me, JP West Photo for sponsoring me, and my family for watching. And I also want to thank LPM for helping me out with the setup tonight.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you once again, Andrew. You're kind of throwing a wrench in the plans of anybody looking for a podium this season, because again, you're coming out with your third one, and you and the LPM guys, they're having a very good season overall. I know your teammate over there at now LPM Orange, your first race here for officially LPM. But I think Sam McEachern, your teammate, should be out here in a couple of races, maybe even as soon as Sunday. So you'll be involved in not only the singles championship, but the teams championship as well. So it's been a pleasure to have you, Andrew. You've had a great season so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you do on Sunday.
Okay, thank you.
Well, with that, we finish up your second interview of the night. We now head off to your race leader, or race winner, I should say. That was two words combined into one there. But yeah, we head off to your race winner, Logan Paxa, for the second time this season, but most notably his first oval win in our series, at least officially. Well, Logan, first of all, congratulations, man.
Thank you, man.
It was a joy to watch there at the end. It was super exciting, thinking it was going to go to a race that I didn't think would incorporate fuel conservation. I thought with everybody going as late as they were on stints that everybody was confident they could make it to the end. But one by one, cars started to head off the track, and I think you were one of the first guys to there. You came off, you got new tires, got enough fuel to the end there, and kind of what was going through your mind there in terms of strategy. First of all, did you think you could make it there to the end? And once you knew you had to pit, were you what was the strategy taking tires and things like that?
So I think it was around maybe with 40 laps to go that I started to realize that I probably wouldn't make it to the end. But I had a really big pack of cars behind me, so I didn't want to slow up too much in case I got swallowed up by them and I lost a bunch of spots. So I didn't start fuel saving to maybe about 20 laps left. And at that point, it was too late. I think I was 4 laps short. So eventually, I tried to fuel save as long as I could, but eventually it said 1 lap to go, and there are, I think, 6 laps left. So I had to pit, and I talked to a lot of guys after the race, and most of them said that they didn't take tires, and that some of them just straight up didn't pit, and they tried their hardest to get to the very end. So what happened was is that Andrew didn't take tires, so I was able to pass him on track, and then Michael actually came out about 5 seconds ahead of me, but as far as I can tell, he got a pit lane violation where he put about half his tire on the blue line, and it gave him a 26-second stop-go penalty. And then Josh was leading until halfway through the final lap, and then I believe that he ran out of gas on the backstretch, and I was just able to win.
You were indeed, and yeah, as you mentioned, Michael coming away with a as you mentioned a violation there for just coming across the blue line there on pit exit, which I mentioned it with actually we had Justin Lewick in the booth there for a little bit, but I was talking about it with him about just how much pressure it can be at the very end of a race where you're trying to win, trying to make your pit entry and exit as good as you possibly can and as quick as you can to get out, but at the same time not making little mistakes like that, and you're a guy that just doesn't make little mistakes like that in races, and overall, I mean, again, you've come so close so many times on ovals in our series, and I think this is like either your eighth or ninth win overall, but your first time at an oval. Is there any sort of feeling of getting the monkey off your back and finally getting that oval win?
Yeah, it's obviously nice to have one on, because I think that at Indianapolis the first time round we couldn't make it on fuel, and then obviously the test race, but that's not really official. But I don't think we had any other IndyCar ovals apart from that.
No, the only other one was won by Josh, who came again very close tonight, as you mentioned, but on the last or second to last straightaway of the race, just ran out. Really, overall, you managed to get the fuel conservation there perfectly while balancing a battle for the lead with Michael, even if the two of you were able to make it on fuel. So it was a joy to watch. It was a great race there, and heading on to Sunday, I mean, it was asked for so commonly by everybody in the series that I just had to put it in there. So we're going to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park on Sunday on the Skip Barber Series. First of all, how excited are you for that? How much experience do you have in your personal life racing at the real track, and how are you feeling going forward for Sunday for round four?
So Mossport is a car racing track that is based right beside a kart racing track that me and Prime Power Team go to for the Ron Fellows series. So I think that if you actually go into blimp view in a replay at Mossport, you can actually see the karting track in the background. So I'm definitely excited to do that because racing at Mossport it's an interesting feeling, because you get to like see the track in real life. It's like racing at maybe the Indy 500 if you've gone there before. It's a nice feeling that you get to go there and you get to do what you see people doing in real life.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if it's obviously the different track. I know the Motorsports Park is more commonly used. I know NASCAR uses it for their Xfinity series and things like that. So a variety of series there. But yeah, it'll be cool to see all you guys getting to go to a track that you've just seen in real life. That I know so many of you have a close relationship with, seeing as it's by far the closest to us here at home, us Suntarians in the series. So well, looking forward to the end of the season there. Overall, I mean, you're now the championship leader. You got, I mean, 12 more races to hold on to it. I know we're doing the playoff format this year in our final three races, so the points will reset there before the final three, and then it's a or three race dash to the finish. But got a long season ahead of you. But for the time being, you are the champion, and as the now current, or sorry, the current points leader, I should say, for our series. Is there anybody you want to give a thanks or a shout out to at home?
I would like to thank all my family for watching. I'd like to thank everyone that came out here to make this race so exciting. I'd like to thank Loud Pedal Motorsports and NLR Sim Racing for giving me the opportunity to race in the 24 hours of Le Mans tomorrow morning. Um, and I would like to thank you, Marshall, for putting this together, giving me something to do when otherwise I really have nothing.
Well, I can ditto you on that. It hasn't exactly been an exciting couple of months, but this series has been an absolute joy to host, and it's a pleasure to have races that are exciting as this one for all the fans at home, especially thanks to you so often. So it's a pleasure to see you doing well tonight. And again, Michael mentioned it a moment ago when we did the interview with him, but yeah, you're doing the Le Mans race tomorrow. I wish you absolutely the best of luck for that. I know you're making your debut there with Loud Pedals, so they gave you a good fight tonight. All the Loud Pedal guys gave you a great race in tonight's race. So to see you go to join them tomorrow will be pretty cool. So absolutely let me know how that goes. And no doubt I'll ask you about that on Sunday if you finish on the podium, which, it's a road course. I would never count out the fact that I will be talking to you on the interview. So it's as always, it's a pleasure to have you, Logan. You're a very well spoken guy. You're by far one of the quickest guys in our entire series. I mean, you're the former champion. There's perfect proof right there. But well, have a good rest of your night. Have a good rest of your weekend. Good luck tomorrow, and have a good Father's Day as well.
Thank you, Marshall.
And we finish up your final interview there with Mr. Logan Paxa. So, with that, I know it's starting to get to a bit of a long broadcast, but overall, it's been a fun one. I think that was probably my favorite oval race we've ever done in our series. I mean, in the chat, I just checked quickly. All of you guys seem to be very excited about having Justin in here with me, so it was a lot of fun. I come from a background, the old channel I used to work with, where I was in Justin's position, where I was the guy that wasn't producing. I was just there to commentate, and it was always a joy. So this is the first time I've ever had to try to coordinate that with somebody else. So I like the dynamic there. I still got to get used to try to incorporate other people a little bit more. But you know what? If I ever get to the point where, and I've considered this in the past, where I would host other series and broadcast series that weren't this one, in addition to the Carts to Computers series, I'd be more than happy to have Justin Look on as a co-commentator. And maybe if he ever, never that I'd wish upon this, but if he were to have a situation where if he were to drop out of a race early, that he would want to come join me, well, be more than happy to. So I was great. It was great to have him. I'm glad you guys all enjoyed it. And again, final congratulations to Mr. Logan Paxa for winning again his first official oval race. He did even mention that this isn't his first race overall. He did win our test race this season before round one at Talladega, but again, getting his first official oval win here at Charlotte. So again, your race winner, Logan Paxa, tonight by 3 full seconds. Again, it came down to a case of fuel conservation, but he was able to make said fuel conservation work. After that, Andrew Bedrosian getting his third podium of the season. He's just been captain consistency since he joined the series in our final round last season. Just an absolute force he's been. Still, again, yet to get a win in our series as of yet, but he's coming closer and closer. And I'd imagine that, again, he doesn't have a ton of experience there in either the car or the track, as he said on Friday or on Sunday, but you never know. It's a long season. I would by no doubt be surprised if Mr. Bedrosian was able to get his first win of our series very soon. So after him, Devin Crosby, who we are unfortunately not able to interview tonight. I still don't see him in the Discord, so I guess we will unfortunately have to settle with maybe for an interview later in the season. I would no doubt be surprised if we were to get one because he's a very good guy at ovals, and the fact that he was able to come away with a podium here does not surprise me at all. It was an impressively done podium as well, coming back from fifth on that final stint to watch all of his teammates at certain points throughout that final stint look like they could win the race, and just was not quite able to make it work. So he would take the third position in tonight's race. After that, Rich Foligno, another Lad Pedal Motorsports guy, and the fifth Lad Pedal Motorsports driver in tonight's race. Mr. Josh Gallagher coming across in the fifth position, rounding out the top five. After that, Marco Felice finishing in sixth, Marshall Crocker Sr. finishing in seventh. Two very good finishes for both of those drivers. I think it came down to pit strategy that unfortunately didn't allow them to make their laps back. It looked like we just didn't get enough cautions for them to use the lucky dog pass, but two very successful nights for both of those drivers, and they were able to make the pass at the end of the race on Michael Krobach, who, as he mentioned in his interview there, unfortunately had to serve a penalty for dropping above the pit exit line there, had a violation there exiting, so unfortunate news for him, but he will still come across with an eighth and a bunch of bonus points for, I think, leading most laps, leading a lap at all, and then being your pole sitter, on top of maybe other things if he had the fastest lap. After that, John Guerra coming across. I think this is his third top five or third top 10 of the season, I should say. So pretty good start to the year for John Guerra overall. Props to him. After that, Jordan West, Logan Ferguson, Manuel Guerra, Justin Lewick, who again was in the booth tonight. It was a pleasure to have him. And again, I will be very happy to have him slot in again some point during the season. After that, his teammate Max Preston would round out the field in 14th position with both the final two, I assume, having technical difficulties. Again, not quite sure why Max did drop out of the race, but I'll have to ask him afterwards. But well, overall, that was what a barn burner of a race that was for sure. That was exciting to watch. I'm glad to see we have good feedback there in the chat that everybody had fun. Michael's joined the chat too. Everybody, everybody's popping in there on YouTube. So again, as I mentioned, it's something I'll look to going forward. I mean, again, I'm never going to ask Justin to pull out of a race that we'd normally be hosting because again, he's full-time part of the series. But I'll see what I can do. I would by no means be opposed to having any driver that would like to come in and stop by to do some co-commentary because again it makes it a much better dynamic and it makes it much easier on me to talk without having to fill in every single second of the race. So again, there's still some adjusting I can do to having somebody else in there, but it was fun. It was great to have him, and thank you again to Justin if you're still watching for slotting in there. It was absolutely great to have you. But overall, thank you to everybody at home. I mean, I always say it, but it's really it's really special to see that our viewership as well as our attendance here in the series has been growing and growing after each and every race we've been doing lately. So especially huge props to those of you who stay through the interviews, stay till the very end, stay to hear all the drivers give their thoughts on the races. And overall, it's so nice to have this at the end of my week. And I know I keep hearing from all the drivers that they're having a great time, and this season especially, they think the schedule is put together a little bit better. They like the team format and having somebody to bounce ideas off of. I like all the Lad Pedal Motorsports guys planning together before the races, and overall, it's just great. So I'm looking to make this bigger and better. I know I added like the side-by-side graphic there for this race and the one before. I'm trying to add in more stuff like that, make the presentation even better, and might even possibly think about fixing my mic quality as well. I use a headset currently, and I think there are ways I can make that even better. So there's things I'll do to hopefully make the broadcast bigger and better for the final 12 races of this season, including our All-Star race, which I will be participating in. But finally, on Sunday at Mosport, we run our fourth race of the series fourth race of the season, I should say, at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, a track very near and dear to all of our karting drivers out there, even if it's not the exact same track itself. But and maybe even you parents out there as well. Maybe if the parents of some of our Canadian karting prospects in our series that have driven their respective children there for races. Maybe it'll be a nice touch to be able to go back and watch them run a race at said track. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be good to go back to the Skip Barber. It'll be something fun to watch, and looking forward to an entertaining race. Our practice race on I think it was Wednesday was pretty exciting. So overall, just been a pleasure to have all of you watching here, and I'm looking forward to Sunday, and I'm looking forward to having you all again. Looking forward to an even better attendance from tonight. I mean, we had, in theory, 15 guys, but Caleb Campbell didn't start the race. But even as I mentioned, Samuel McEachern, who might become a teammate of Andrew Bedrosian, should be making his debut soon. So a few more individual guys like that. So I'm just looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good rest of the season. I mean, we've got a great group of fans out there watching on YouTube here. So overall, it's been a pleasure to have you guys in the chat. It's been a pleasure to have you guys enjoying the racing so much. It's been a pleasure to have Justin Luke in the booth. And overall, thank you everybody for watching the Karts to Computers Racing Series, round 3 at Charlotte Motor Speedway tonight. I am, of course, as usual, Marshall Crocker Jr. I never remember to put up my name, but well, there you go. I'll finally remember this time, and that'll bring us to the end of our broadcast tonight. Thank you everybody for watching, and have a good rest of your weekend, including a happy Father's Day on Sunday.